In this video, we're breaking down 3 hours of all the lost episodes of The Simpsons. Let's get started. First up, we've got the permanently banned episode Homer's Enemy Part 2. Homer's Enemy Part 2, The Simpsons episode that was too dark to produce. Frank Grimes' son returns to Springfield seeking revenge against Homer for his father's death. The script was completed in 1998, but was immediately rejected by Fox executives. For over 25 years, the episode has existed only in script form. The network determined the storyline was too violent and tonally inconsistent. Today, the script remains locked in the Simpsons writers' vault, and fans can only read leaked excerpts online. You cannot watch it because it was never animated, making it the only completed Simpsons script permanently banned from production. The original Homer's Enemy aired on the 4th of May, 1997 during The Simpsons' 8th season. The episode introduced Frank Grimes, a hard-working man who earned everything through struggle. Homer Simpson, by contrast, had stumbled into success through luck and incompetence. Grimes became obsessed with exposing Homer as a fraud. His efforts backfired repeatedly. The episode ended with Grimes having a mental breakdown. He mockingly imitated Homer's careless behavior at the nuclear plant. He grabbed high-voltage wires without safety equipment. He electrocuted himself and died. At his funeral, Homer fell asleep and talked in his dreams. The other mourners laughed. The episode faded to black on this darkly comedic note. The episode divided audiences immediately. Some viewers praised it as brilliant satire about the arbitrary nature of success. Others found it mean-spirited and tonally inconsistent with The Simpsons' usual warmth. Critics debated whether the show had crossed a line. The episode became one of the most discussed in Simpsons history. Matt Groening later called it one of his favorites. He explained that Grimes represented the reality principle crashing into the cartoon logic of Springfield. The character existed to question why Homer deserved his happy life. The answer, according to the episode, was that he didn't deserve it. Life was simply unfair. The writer's room became fascinated with exploring the aftermath. What would happen if someone actually held Homer accountable for Grimes' death? The concept emerged during a story-breaking session in late 1997. Someone suggested Grimes had a son. The room latched onto the idea immediately. Frank Grimes Jr. would arrive in Springfield seeking revenge. The episode would function as a psychological thriller disguised as a Simpsons episode. Al Jean supported the concept. The writing team began developing the script in early 1998. The script opened with a stranger arriving in Springfield. He introduced himself as Frank Grimes Jr. to Moe at the bar. Moe remembered the senior Grimes and his tragic death. Jr. explained he was there to meet the man responsible. Moe assumed Jr. meant Mr. Burns, who owned the plant where the accident occurred. Jr. corrected him. He meant Homer Simpson. The opening established Jr.'s goal immediately. He blamed Homer for his father's death. He intended to make Homer understand what he had taken away. Jr. got hired at the nuclear plant through falsified credentials. He positioned himself as Homer's assistant. Homer treated him with his typical oblivious friendliness. Jr. smiled and nodded while internally seething. The script described detailed scenes of Jr. observing Homer's incompetence. Homer nearly caused meltdowns. He slept at his workstation. He ate donuts while critical alarms sounded. Jr. documented everything. He kept a journal tracking Homer's violations and near disasters. The script emphasized Jr.'s meticulous nature, contrasting him with Homer's chaos. The revenge plot escalated gradually. Jr. began sabotaging Homer in subtle ways. He rearranged Homer's workspace so Homer would make mistakes. He fed Homer incorrect information about plant operations. He positioned Homer to take blame for problems Jr. created. The script detailed a sequence where Jr. manipulated Homer into nearly causing a genuine nuclear incident. At the last moment, Jr. stepped in and saved the day. He became a hero, while Homer looked incompetent. Mr. Burns praised Jr. and demoted Homer. The plan was working perfectly. But the script took a darker turn. Jr.'s revenge wasn't satisfied by professional humiliation. He wanted Homer to feel the same despair his father felt. He began targeting Homer's family. He befriended Bart and Lisa, learning their vulnerabilities. He discovered Marge's anxieties about Homer's job security. He identified the exact pressure points that would destroy Homer's life. The script described Junior attending a Simpson family dinner. He smiled and laughed while internally planning each family member's role in Homer's downfall. This sequence particularly disturbed Fox executives when they read the script. The climax involved Junior engineering a scenario where Homer had to choose between saving his job and saving his family. Junior created a crisis at the plant that required Homer's immediate attention. Simultaneously, he arranged for Bart to be in danger across town. Homer couldn't be in both places. The script detailed Homer's panic as he realized the impossible choice. He chose his family, rushing to save Bart. The plant crisis worsened without Homer present. Junior ensured Homer would be blamed for abandoning his post during an emergency. Homer faced criminal charges for negligence. The original ending showed Homer in prison. Junior visited him in jail. He revealed his true identity and his entire revenge scheme. Homer barely remembered Frank Grimes Sr. He asked Junior who his father was. Junior's rage boiled over at Homer's ignorance. He screamed that Homer had destroyed a man so thoroughly that Homer didn't even remember him. Homer apologized, saying he was sorry about Junior's dad. Junior broke down crying. The script ended with Junior walking away from the prison, having achieved his revenge but feeling empty. Homer remained in jail, confused about what had happened. The final scene showed the Simpson family visiting Homer, unable to understand why their lives had fallen apart. Fox executives rejected the script immediately after the first read-through. The decision came from the highest levels of the network. The script was deemed too violent in its psychological impact. Homer facing actual consequences felt wrong for The Simpsons. The show operated on cartoon logic where characters reset each episode. This script violated that fundamental rule. Homer would be permanently damaged by the events. The family would be traumatized. The ending offered no resolution or return to status quo. For a sitcom, even one as subversive as The Simpsons, this crossed a line. Stark raving. Dad. Extended cut. The Simpsons episode banned in the streaming age. Homer meets a mental patient who claims to be Michael Jackson, and they help Bart write a birthday song for Lisa. The episode aired on the 19th of September 1991 during The Simpsons' third season. For 28 years, it played in syndication without problems. But in 2019, following the HBO documentary Leaving Neverland, the episode was pulled from Disney Plus and all future broadcasts. The controversy centers on Michael Jackson's involvement, not the content itself. Additionally, extended scenes from the original production were discovered in 2020, revealing footage that never made the final broadcast. The episode opens with Homer wearing a pink shirt to work. His white shirts turned pink in the laundry. Mr. Burns sees the pink shirt and questions Homer's mental stability. Homer gets sent to a mental institution for evaluation. At the institution, Homer meets a large white man who claims to be Michael Jackson. The man speaks in Jackson's distinctive voice. He acts with Jackson's man mannerisms. Homer believes him immediately. They become friends. The institution staff confirms Homer is sane and releases him. The man claiming to be Michael Jackson has no place to go. Homer invites him home. The Simpson family reacts with skepticism. Marge doesn't believe the man is Michael Jackson. Bart gets excited initially, but realizes it's probably not really him. Lisa remains hopeful. The man calling himself Michael Jackson learns that Bart forgot Lisa's birthday. He offers to help Bart write a song for Lisa. They spend the evening composing Happy Birthday Lisa together. The man provides the melody and main lyrics. Bart contributes personal details about Lisa. The next morning, they perform the song for Lisa. She loves it. The man reveals his real name is Leon Kompowski. He's just a bricklayer from Paterson, New Jersey, who speaks in Michael Jackson's voice because it makes people happy. He leaves Springfield on a bus. The episode ends with the Simpson family appreciating what Leon did for them. Michael Jackson's involvement remained secret for years. He voiced Leon Kompowski but was credited as John J. Smith. Jackson was a massive Simpsons fan. He called the show's producers and asked to guest star. Matt Groening and James L. Brooks agreed immediately. Jackson had one condition. He wanted his involvement kept secret. He didn't want Fox to use his name for promotional purposes. The producers honored his request. Jackson recorded his dialogue at a separate studio. He never met the other voice actors during production. The secrecy extended to the show's credits. John J. Smith appeared as Leon's voice actor. Fans speculated for years about whether it was really Jackson. Jackson voiced the speaking parts but didn't sing. Kip Lennon, a sound-alike singer, performed the musical numbers. Jackson's contract with his record label prevented him from singing on other projects. He could speak in character but not perform songs. Jackson wrote the Happy Birthday Lisa song, specifically for the episode. He composed the melody and most of the lyrics. Lennon sang it during the actual episode. The song became one of the most memorable moments in Simpsons history. Fans loved its sweetness and emotional sincerity. The song contrasted with the show's usual satirical approach. Jackson's involvement made the episode special even before his participation was confirmed. The truth about Jackson's involvement emerged gradually. Cast members confirmed it in interviews during the 1990s. Jackson himself mentioned the episode in later years. He said it was one of his favorite experiences in entertainment. He loved The Simpsons and felt honored to contribute to it. Nancy Cartwright, Bart's voice actor, described Jackson as professional and enthusiastic during recording sessions she heard about. Dan Castellaneta said Jackson's performance elevated the episode beyond typical celebrity cameos. Jackson brought genuine emotion to Leon's character. The episode succeeded because Jackson committed fully to the role. Critical reception in 1991 was overwhelmingly positive. The episode ranked among the best of Season 3. Fans praised its emotional depth and Jackson's performance. The Happy Birthday Lisa song became culturally significant. People sang it at real birthday parties. It appeared in popular culture references for years. The episode demonstrated The Simpsons could balance satire with genuine sentiment. Leon's character worked because Jackson played him sincerely. The episode never mocked Michael Jackson or Leon. It treated mental health with unexpected nuance for a comedy show. The episode's success secured its place in regular syndication rotation. Extended scenes existed in the original production materials. The broadcast version ran 22 minutes. The original assembly cut ran approximately 28 minutes. Standard practice required trimming episodes to fit commercial breaks. 6 minutes of footage was removed during editing. Most deleted material consisted of extended dialogue sequences and longer establishing shots. The extended cut remained in Fox's archives as production reference material. Animators and editors kept full versions before final cuts. These materials were filed away and largely forgotten. The extended mental institution sequence added context to Homer and Leon's friendship. The broadcast version shows them meeting briefly before Homer's release. The extended version included additional scenes of Homer and Leon talking through the night. Leon explained why he adopted Michael Jackson's voice. His real voice was quiet and unremarkable. People ignored him. Speaking like Jackson made them pay attention. Homer sympathized with feeling invisible. They bonded over being underestimated. The conversation lasted approximately 90 seconds. It was cut for pacing. The editors felt the episode needed to get to Springfield faster. Additional Homer-Leon dialogue occurred during the walk home from the bus station. The broadcast version shows them arriving at the Simpson house immediately. The extended version included a sequence where Leon helped Homer understand Lisa's personality. Leon asked Homer what Lisa loved. Homer struggled to answer. Leon pointed out that Homer needed to know his daughter better. This conversation motivated Homer to support Bart's song, writing effort more actively. The scene lasted about 45 seconds. It was removed because it slowed the episode's momentum. The Happy Birthday Lisa recording session had an extended version. The broadcast episode shows Leon and Bart writing and performing the song in a quick montage. The extended cut showed them struggling with lyrics. Bart suggested lines that Leon gently rejected as too silly. Leon proposed lyrics that Bart found too formal. They worked through multiple drafts before finding the right words. The extended sequence emphasized the creative process. It made the final song feel more earned. The sequence lasted approximately 2 minutes. It was cut because the episode was already running long and the montage version communicated the same information faster. An alternative ending existed in early animation. The broadcast version ends with Leon riding away on the bus while singing. The extended ending continued after the bus departed. It showed Lisa's birthday party later that day. The family sang Happy Birthday, Lisa together. Lisa thanked Bart for the song. Bart admitted Leon helped him. Lisa said she knew, but it still meant everything because Bart cared enough to try. The scene reinforced the episode's emotional themes. It was removed because the ending on the bus felt more cinematic and less sentimental. The editors decided the episode worked better, ending on Leon's departure rather than explaining the emotional resolution explicitly. Animation differences between versions were minor. The extended scenes used the same character designs and visual style as the broadcast episode. The animation quality remained consistent throughout. No rough or unfinished animation appeared in the extended materials. This indicated the scenes were fully completed before being cut. The decision to remove them was editorial, not technical. The animators had finished the work. The editors trimmed for time and pacing. This distinguished the extended Stark Raving Dad material from typical deleted scenes that are removed during production. These scenes were broadcast ready. The extended materials were preserved through standard archiving procedures. Fox maintained production files for all Simpsons episodes. These files included original animation cells, digital files, audio recordings, and edit decision lists. The full pre-cut versions existed in these archives. Occasionally, production staff accessed old materials for reference purposes. The extended Stark Raving Dad footage remained filed alongside the broadcast version. It was labeled as deleted material but not destroyed or lost. The Leaving Neverland documentary premiered on the 3rd of March, 2019 at the Sundance Film Festival. The documentary featured detailed allegations of sexual abuse against Michael Jackson from two men, Wade Robson and James Safechuck. They claimed Jackson abused them as children during the 1990s. The documentary sparked immediate controversy and renewed debate about Jackson's legacy. Media outlets covered the allegations extensively. Public opinion shifted dramatically against Jackson. Major radio stations stopped playing his music. Cultural institutions removed Jackson tributes. James L. Brooks made the decision to pull Stark Raving Dad on the 7th of March 2019, 4 days after the documentary's premiere. Brooks released a statement explaining the decision. He said the episode's inclusion of Jackson felt wrong given the documentary's allegations. He acknowledged the episode contained nothing inappropriate itself. The problem was Jackson's participation. Brooks felt keeping the episode in circulation would be insensitive to abuse survivors. He contacted Fox and Disney to request removal. Both companies agreed immediately. The statement from Brooks appeared in publications including the Wall Street Journal and the Hollywood Reporter. Brooks explained that he, Matt Groening, and Al Jean reached the decision together. They felt unanimous about removing the episode. Brooks said the decision was difficult because they loved the episode's story about Homer and Lisa, but Jackson's involvement made it impossible to separate the episode from the allegations. Brooks emphasized this was the producer's choice, not network pressure. Fox and Disney supported the decision but didn't initiate it. Disney Plus launched on the 12th of November 2019 without the episode. The streaming service offered Simpsons episodes from Season 1 through the current season. Season 3 appeared with 23 episodes instead of 24. Stark Raving Dad was conspicuously absent. The episode guide skipped from Episode 1 to Episode 3. Disney included no explanation or disclaimer. The episode simply didn't exist on the platform. This marked the first time a Simpsons episode was permanently removed from official distribution for reasons unrelated to the content itself. Syndication removal occurred gradually through 2019 and early 2020. Local television stations that aired Simpsons reruns received instructions from Fox. The episode was not to be broadcast. Stations complied immediately. Some stations had already aired it during regular rotation before receiving the directive. After March 2019, no American television station broadcast Stark Raving Dad. The episode disappeared from cable networks, local channels, and streaming platforms simultaneously. The coordinated removal was efficient and complete. International broadcast status varied by country. The United Kingdom's Channel 4, which aired Simpsons reruns, removed the episode. Sky Television in the UK also stopped broadcasting it. Australian networks followed the American decision. Canadian broadcasters removed it from rotation. Some countries without major streaming services continued airing it briefly before receiving updated episode packages from Fox. By 2020, most major international markets had removed the episode. Smaller markets and countries with less active Simpsons broadcast schedules might have aired it longer, but no major broadcaster kept it in regular rotation. Fan reactions divided sharply. Some viewers supported the decision. They argued that continuing to celebrate Jackson's work disrespected abuse survivors. They felt removing the episode sent an important message about accountability. The episode's quality didn't matter compared to the allegations against Jackson. Supporting the ban meant supporting victims over nostalgia. These fans accepted losing the episode as an appropriate consequence. Other fans opposed the ban. They argued the episode itself contained nothing inappropriate. Leon Kompowski was a fictional character, not Jackson. The story promoted kindness and family connection. Removing it punished art for the artist's alleged crimes. They questioned whether erasing cultural products helped anyone. Some pointed out Jackson was never convicted of the crimes alleged in the documentary. They felt the ban assumed guilt without due process. These fans considered the removal an overreaction that set a dangerous precedent. Voice actors from The Simpsons rarely commented publicly. Dan Castellaneta declined to discuss the episode's removal in interviews. Nancy Cartwright made no public statements about the decision. The cast generally avoided commenting on controversial production decisions. Their silence suggested they either supported the producer's decision or preferred not to engage with the debate. The lack of public disagreement from cast members indicated the decision had broad internal support, or at least no significant opposition. Comparisons to other shows pulling episodes became common. The Office removed an episode where a character wore blackface. Community removed an episode with similar content. 30 Rock pulled multiple episodes. Scrubs removed episodes featuring blackface. These removals all related to content within the episodes themselves. Stark Raving Dad was different. The episode's content wasn't problematic. Jackson's participation was the issue. This made it unique among pulled television episodes. It represented removing art because of the artist rather than because of the art. Bootleg circulation began immediately. Fans who owned DVDs containing the episode uploaded it to video sharing sites. YouTube removed these uploads due to copyright claims. The episode appeared on torrent sites and file sharing networks. Fans created private archives. Some fan communities organized to preserve the episode. They argued it was cultural history regardless of Jackson's allegations. The episode remained easily findable for anyone determined to watch it. The ban only removed official distribution, not access, entirely. Petition campaigns emerged on both sides. One petition demanded Disney restore the episode to Disney+. It collected over 50,000 signatures. The petition argued censorship was never acceptable. Another petition supported the ban and demanded other Jackson-related content be removed. It collected approximately 30,000 signatures. Neither petition changed Disney's position. The company maintained the episode would not return to the platform. The petitions demonstrated the passion on both sides, but had no practical impact. Physical media status became complicated. DVDs of The Simpsons Season 3, released before 2019, included the episode. These DVDs remained legal to own and sell. Fox didn't recall existing copies. The episode appeared in complete Season 3 box sets, complete Seasons 120 collections, and various compilation DVDs. These physical copies became more valuable after the ban. Collectors sought them out specifically for the banned episode. Online marketplaces showed increased demand for Season 3 DVDs. Prices rose on secondary markets. The ban inadvertently made physical copies of the episode more desirable and valuable. The extended cut materials gained attention after the ban. Fan discussions about the episode's removal led to renewed interest in all related materials. Someone leaked descriptions of the extended scenes online in 2020. These descriptions came from someone with access to Fox archives or production materials. The person described the deleted material in detail but didn't release the actual footage. The description circulated through fan communities. Fans became fascinated by content they couldn't see, from an episode they also couldn't see. The extended cut became lost content from lost content. Disney has released no indication about reversing the decision. Corporate statements about the removal emphasize the company's commitment to social responsibility. Disney Plus regularly adds and removes content from its library. But statements specifically about Stark raving dad suggest the removal is permanent. The company treats the episode differently than other temporarily unavailable content. No timeline exists for potential restoration. The ban appears to be indefinite. The episode's place in Simpsons history remains complicated. It was a significant episode during the show's golden age. It influenced future episodes about Lisa's character. The Happy Birthday Lisa song became part of Simpsons culture. References to the episode appeared in later seasons. But discussing the episode now requires acknowledging the ban. The episode exists in a strange space. It's simultaneously important and erased. Fans remember it, critics analyze it, but new viewers can't watch it through official channels. The episode's legacy is permanently tied to Jackson's allegations. Stark raving dad remains the only Simpsons episode removed after nearly 3 decades of broadcast. The extended cut adds another layer to the episode's complicated legacy. Unlike Homer's Enemy Part 2, which was banned before production, this episode aired successfully for 28 years before being pulled. The extended scenes exist in production archives but have never been officially released. Disney has made no indication they will reverse the decision. The episode's removal demonstrates how cultural context can change the status of decades-old content. Whether the ban serves justice or erases art remains debated, but the decision stands. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying this breakdown. Moving on to the major deleted scenes. First up, we've got the original ending to Who Shot Mr. Burns? Who Shot Mr. Burns, the Simpsons episode with the most famous deleted ending in television history. Mr. Burns blocks out the sun and someone shoots him in response. The 2-part episode aired on the 21st of May, 1995 and the 17th of September, 1995. The finale revealed Maggie Simpson as the shooter, but the original ending was completely different. For months, the production team animated 2 separate conclusions. One featured Smithers as the shooter, the other featured Maggie. The Smithers ending was fully animated and voiced before being abandoned. Today, fragments of the alternate ending have surfaced online, but the complete Smithers version has never been officially released. Part 1 established the mystery methodically. Mr. Burns discovered oil under Springfield Elementary School. He slant drilled to steal the oil from under the school. The town lost funding as a result. Burns then built a device to block out the sun. His plan was forcing Springfield residents to use more electricity from his power plant. Everyone in Springfield had a motive to shoot him. Bart hated him for stealing his dog. Lisa hated him for taking arts funding. Marge hated him for stealing her valuable Olmec Indian head. Homer hated him because Burns couldn't remember his name. The episode ended with someone shooting Burns in the chest. He collapsed onto a sundial. His body blocked some letters, creating a clue. The screen showed Burns reaching toward the sky before cutting to black. Fox ran a contest for viewers to guess the shooter. The prize was a sweepstakes entry for animated appearance on the episode. The actual prize was described as a trip to Los Angeles, not $1 million as later reports suggested. Fox established rules preventing Simpsons staff and their families from entering. The contest generated massive publicity. Simpsons became a cultural phenomenon during the summer of 1995. Everyone debated who shot Mr. Burns. Water cooler conversations centered on analyzing clues. Entertainment publications ran extensive speculation pieces. Multiple false clues were planted throughout Part 1. The sundial clue could be interpreted multiple ways. Burns grabbed at his chest where a handkerchief showed the letters W and S, possibly indicating Wayland Smithers. But the letters could also suggest other interpretations. The writers deliberately created ambiguous evidence. They wanted viewers arguing about multiple possibilities. Characters' whereabouts during the shooting remained vague. The episode showed several people near Burns's office when the shooting occurred. Anyone could have done it. The ambiguity was intentional and carefully constructed. Production maintained extreme secrecy during Part 2's creation. The writing staff worked in closed sessions. Animation studios received instructions to limit access to certain materials. Voice actors recorded dialogue without full context. Only essential personnel knew the final reveal. The secrecy extended beyond the show's normal security measures. Matt Groening described the production as operating like a spy thriller. Scripts were numbered and tracked. Leaked information would reveal which staff member broke confidence. The paranoia was partly playful and partly serious given the contest's publicity. The Smithers ending positioned him as the shooter through psychological breakdown. The alternate version opened with Chief Wiggum investigating the crime scene. He found Smithers's employee card near Burns's body. Smithers became the prime suspect immediately. Smithers claimed he was at home during the shooting. He had no alibi. The investigation focused on Smithers while the Simpson family dealt with their own problems. Homer was blamed by the town for various unrelated issues, creating a parallel investigation that proved to be a red herring. Smithers' guilt was established through flashback sequences. The alternate version showed Smithers confronting Burns about the sun-blocking scheme. Burns dismissed Smithers' concerns. Burns called Smithers weak and sentimental. Smithers argued that stealing from children and blocking out the sun went too far. Burns laughed and said Smithers had gone soft. Burns threatened to fire Smithers if he interfered. Smithers left Burns's office humiliated and furious. This confrontation established motive clearly. The shooting sequence in the Smithers version was explicit. The alternate animation showed Smithers returning to Burns's office after everyone left. He carried a gun taken from Burns's desk drawer. Burns turned and saw Smithers with the weapon. Burns asked what Smithers thought he was doing. Smithers said he was saving Burns from himself. Burns laughed and called Smithers pathetic. Smithers shot Burns in the chest. Burns collapsed onto the sundial. Smithers dropped the gun and fled. The sequence lasted approximately 30 seconds and was fully animated. Smithers's arrest occurred at his apartment. Chief Wiggum and the police arrived early morning. Smithers answered the door in his robe. He confessed immediately. He said he couldn't let Burns destroy Springfield. He loved Burns, but had to stop him. The confession scene played seriously without comedy. Smithers cried during his admission. Harry Shearer's voice performance conveyed genuine anguish. The scene established Smithers's action as tragic rather than villainous. He committed murder out of twisted love and moral desperation. The courtroom sequence showed Smithers' trial. Springfield residents testified about Burns's crimes. The defense argued Smithers acted to save the town. The prosecution argued premeditated murder deserved punishment. The jury found Smithers guilty. The judge sentenced him to prison. Burns, who survived the shooting, attended court in a wheelchair. He said nothing during sentencing. Burns watched Smithers get taken away without expression. The final scene showed Smithers in a prison cell. He looked at a photo of Burns. The episode ended without resolution or hope. Smithers remained in prison. Burns remained evil. Springfield remained trapped under Burns's control. This ending made narrative sense within Simpsons' continuity. Smithers's devotion to Burns was established. His growing disillusionment had appeared in previous episodes. The shooting represented his breaking point. The psychological realism distinguished this version. Smithers acted from complex motives, not cartoon logic. The ending treated murder seriously with appropriate consequences. For a show that usually reset each episode, this represented a dramatic shift. Smithers would remain in prison indefinitely. Future episodes would need to address his absence or ignore continuity completely. The story structure of the Smithers reveal followed traditional mystery formats. The episode presented clues pointing to Smithers throughout Part 2. His suspicious behavior, his lack of alibi, his access to Burns's office. Viewers who paid attention could solve the mystery before the reveal. This satisfied mystery genre conventions. The audience could potentially guess correctly through deductive reasoning. The Maggie solution that aired relied more on surprise than fair play mystery structure. Maggie as shooter came from nowhere. The Smithers version rewarded careful viewers. Writer Bill Oakley later explained the decision-making process. He said the writer's room debated both endings extensively. The Smithers version was written first. It was the serious, dramatic choice. The Maggie version came later as an alternative. The Maggie ending was darker in some ways because it involved a baby committing violence, but it was also more absurdist and cartoony. The debate centered on what kind of show The Simpsons wanted to be. Did they want to tell a serious story with consequences? Or did they want to maintain cartoon logic? The decision wasn't unanimous. Some writers preferred the Smithers version. Others supported Maggie. Josh Weinstein, the other showrunner, described the practical considerations. The Smithers ending would permanently change the show. Either Smithers stayed in prison, breaking continuity, or he was released, trivializing murder. Both options created problems. The Maggie ending avoided this issue. Maggie was a baby. She couldn't be held responsible. Burns could decline to press charges against an infant. The status quo could reset. The Maggie solution preserved the show's episodic format. This pragmatic reasoning ultimately won the debate. Matt Groening expressed his preference for the Maggie ending publicly. He felt it was more Simpsons appropriate. The absurdity of a baby shooter matched the show's surreal humor. The Smithers version felt too much like a standard drama. Groening wanted The Simpsons to stay weird and unexpected. Making Maggie the shooter was legitimately surprising. Nobody seriously suspected a baby. The twist elevated the episode from good mystery to memorable television event. Groening's support for the Maggie version carried significant weight with the production team. Network input influenced the decision minimally. Fox executives expressed no strong preference. They trusted the producer's judgment. The decision remained creative rather than corporate. This distinguished it from other content decisions where networks overruled creators. The producers chose the Maggie ending themselves. They weren't forced by standards departments or executive mandates. The decision reflected their vision for the show's direction. Technical challenges of creating two complete endings were substantial. Both versions required full animation. Voice acting had to be recorded for both. Music had to be composed and scored for different emotional tones. The production budget effectively doubled for the resolution sequence. Fox approved the additional expense given the publicity value. The contest and media attention justified the cost, but it remained expensive and time-consuming. Animation studios worked on both versions simultaneously. Different teams handled different endings to maintain secrecy within the studios themselves. The cost of creating two endings likely exceeded $100,000 in 1995 production values. Animation was expensive and labor-intensive. Every frame required artists' work. Voice recording sessions, music composition, and sound editing all doubled. The Simpsons justified this expense through its status as Fox's flagship show. The network allowed the extravagance because the contest generated millions in free publicity. Entertainment media covered the mystery extensively. The cultural conversation around the episode was worth more than traditional advertising. The Maggie ending that aired worked through accidental shooting. Part 2 revealed Burns' gun fell from his holster during a struggle with Homer. Maggie found the gun in a bag. She sucked on it like a pacifier. Burns confronted the Simpson family outside Town Hall. He reached for Maggie's candy. Maggie pulled the gun trigger reflexively. Burns got shot. The shooting was accidental from Maggie's perspective. She had no intent or understanding. Burns survived and chose not to press charges against a baby. The solution was absurd, unexpected, and allowed for a complete reset. Next episode, everything returned to normal. Fan reaction in September 1995 was mixed initially. Some viewers loved the surprise. Others felt cheated by the solution. The most common complaint was that Maggie as shooter felt random. She had no established motive. The answer relied on physical comedy rather than mystery logic. Viewers who spent the summer analyzing clues felt their effort was wasted. The solution wasn't something they could have deduced. It was just something that happened. This disappointed mystery enthusiasts who wanted fair play. Critical reception was more positive. Television critics praised the boldness of making a baby the shooter. Reviews highlighted the absurdist humor. Critics appreciated that The Simpsons refused to play by conventional rules. The solution was pure Simpsons. It took a serious format and bent it toward cartoon chaos. Critics who understood the show's aesthetic loved the Maggie reveal. Those expecting traditional mystery structure found it unsatisfying. The divide between critics and some fans persisted for years. The contest winner was never officially announced. Fox released a statement saying the winner was selected from entries that correctly guessed Maggie, but no winner appeared on the show. The promised animated appearance never materialized in any obvious way. Speculation suggested the prize was quietly changed or the winner declined. Fox never clarified what happened. The mystery of the contest winner became almost as interesting as the mystery of the shooter. The lack of resolution added to the episode's legend. Storyboards from the Smithers ending leaked in 2006. Someone posted them on a Simpsons fan website. The boards showed key scenes, including the confrontation, the shooting, and the courtroom. The art was rough but showed composition and character positioning clearly. The boards proved the Smithers version was real and substantially completed. Fans could see what the alternate ending would have looked like. The leak generated renewed interest in the episode and the abandoned ending. Animation cells from the Smithers version appeared at auction in 2008. A Los Angeles auction house sold production materials from The Simpsons. Several cells showed scenes from the unused ending. The CLs were fully painted and production ready. Their existence at auction confirmed the animation was completed, not just storyboarded. Collectors purchased the cells for significant amounts. The rarity and historical significance drove prices into thousands of dollars per cell. The auction proved the alternate ending existed in finished form somewhere in Fox's archives. DVD commentary for the episode discussed the alternate ending. Bill Oakley and Josh Weinstein recorded commentary for the Season 6 and Season 7 box sets. They described the Smithers version in detail during the Who Shot Mr. Burns commentary track. They explained the decision process and why Maggie ultimately won. They expressed fondness for both versions. Oakley said he slightly preferred the Smithers version dramatically, but understood why Maggie was the right choice for the show. The commentary provided official confirmation of everything fans suspected. Fan recreations based on descriptions appeared on YouTube. Animation enthusiasts attempted to recreate the Smithers ending using descriptions from commentary and leaked materials. These fan animations ranged from crude to surprisingly professional. Some used the show's actual art style convincingly. Others were obviously amateur. The recreations let fans experience the alternate ending approximately. But none matched the quality of official Simpsons animation. The fan versions kept interest alive in seeing the real footage. Current whereabouts of the complete alternate footage remain uncertain. Fox maintains extensive archives of Simpsons production materials. The Smithers ending presumably exists in these archives. Occasionally, production staff references it in interviews or social media posts, but Fox has never released the footage officially. No DVD set includes it as a bonus feature. No streaming service offers it. The complete animated, voiced, scored alternate ending exists somewhere but remains inaccessible to the public. Who Shot Mr. Burns stands as television's most elaborate alternate ending. The Smithers version was completely animated, fully voiced, and ready to air. The decision to change shooters came late enough that both endings were essentially finished. This makes it unique among deleted Simpsons content. Unlike scripts that were never produced or scenes trimmed for time, this was a complete episode that was simply replaced with a different complete episode. The Smithers ending remains in Fox's archives, occasionally glimpsed in leaked storyboards, but never officially released. The choice to make Maggie the shooter changed Simpsons history, and the alternate timeline where Smithers went to prison for attempted murder exists only in production materials and fan imagination. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying this breakdown. Moving on to the second episode in the deleted scenes category, we've got the unaired Treehouse of Horror segments. Treehouse of Horror, the Simpsons Halloween specials, with multiple segments permanently cut from broadcast. Every year since 1990, The Simpsons has produced anthology horror episodes featuring 3 short segments. What most viewers don't know is that at least 7 additional segments were fully animated, but pulled before airing. These range from a Night of the Living Dead parody deemed too gory, to a segment about a dystopian future, completed but shelved indefinitely. Some segments were trimmed, others completely replaced, and a few exist in foreign broadcasts, but not American television. The Treehouse of Horror format allows more creative freedom than regular episodes. The anthology structure means segments exist outside normal continuity. Characters can die, the world can end, and reality can shift without affecting the series. This freedom encourages writers to explore darker and more experimental ideas. The Halloween theme justifies horror content and graphic imagery. But even within this permissive format, certain segments crossed lines that prevented broadcast. Network standards still applied. Violence had limits. Controversial themes faced scrutiny. The deleted segments represent ideas that went too far, even for Treehouse of Horror. Standards that govern regular episodes apply differently, but not completely. Violence can be more extreme if it's cartoonishly unrealistic. Blood can appear if it's exaggerated and colorful rather than realistic. Death is acceptable if it's comedic rather than disturbing. The show walks a careful line between horror, homage, and inappropriate content. The deleted segments failed to stay on the acceptable side of that line. They were too graphic, too disturbing, or too controversial for broadcast standards in their time periods. The pattern of what gets cut reveals network priorities. Graphic violence against main characters tends to get removed. Segments dealing with real-world tragedies face immediate rejection. Content that might traumatize children receives extra scrutiny despite the Halloween theme. Sexual content, even implied, gets cut faster than violence. Political content receives more latitude than religious content. These patterns explain which segments survived and which were permanently shelved. Night of the Living Ned was planned for Treehouse of Horror 5 in 1994. The segment parodied George Romero's Night of the Living Dead. Ned Flanders died in the opening and returned as a zombie. He infected other Springfield residents. The zombie outbreak spread through the town. Homer and the family barricaded themselves in their house. Zombies surrounded them. The segment featured extended sequences of zombies eating people. The gore was cartoonish but extensive. Characters were shown being devoured with exaggerated sound effects and visual detail. The segment's plot followed the classic zombie film structure. The Simpson family argued about what to do. Homer wanted to fight. Marge wanted to flee. The children were frightened. Tension built as zombies broke through defenses. The climax showed Homer fighting zombie Ned in hand-to-hand combat. Homer destroyed Ned's zombie body piece by piece. The violence was comedic but graphic. The segment ended with Springfield completely overrun. The Simpsons were implied to be the last survivors. The final shot showed them surrounded with no hope of escape. Network executives objected to the segment's length and intensity. The violence continued for too long. The eating sequences were too detailed. Children watching might have nightmares. The segment was pulled during the final edit phase. A different segment about Homer getting superpowers replaced it. The animation was complete, the voice work was finished, but the segment never aired on American television. Some international broadcasts in countries with looser standards showed it. Reports suggest it aired in the United Kingdom and Australia, though this remains unconfirmed. The World Trade Simpson was produced for Treehouse of Horror in 2001. The segment involved Homer working in a building that gets attacked. The premise was developed before September 11th, 2001. The animation was nearly complete when the attacks occurred. Fox immediately shelved the segment. The network made the decision within days of September 11th. Any content referencing building attacks felt inappropriate. The segment was never completed. A replacement segment about a meteor destroying Springfield was rushed into production. The content of the World Trade Simpson segment is not fully documented. People involved in production have described it only vaguely. The segment apparently involved Homer as a window washer on a very tall building. Something attacks the building, causing destruction. Homer has to escape, while the building collapses around him. The comedy came from Homer's incompetence during a crisis. The segment was typical Treehouse of Horror material before September 11th context transformed it. After the attacks, anything involving building destruction felt wrong. The segment was permanently shelved out of respect for victims and survivors. Current status of the World Trade Simpsons segment is unknown. The incomplete animation might exist in archives, or it might have been destroyed given its sensitive nature. No production staff have confirmed whether it still exists. The segment is never mentioned in official DVD commentaries. Writers and producers avoid discussing it in interviews. The decision to shelve it was unanimous and immediate. Unlike other deleted material that generates curiosity, this segment carries tragedy associations that prevent interest in seeing it. Homer's cannibal adventure was proposed for an unspecified Treehouse of Horror episode during the late 1990s. The segment parodied the Donner Party historical incident. The Simpson family gets trapped in the mountains during winter. They run out of food. They consider cannibalism. The segment played the situation for dark comedy. Family members argued about who would get eaten first. Homer volunteered himself and then immediately changed his mind. The premise was deemed too disturbing for broadcast despite the Halloween theme. The segment's script was completed, but animation never began. The writers pitched it during a story meeting. Some staff loved the dark humor. Others found it too grim. The showrunners decided it crossed a line. Cannibalism involving the main family felt wrong. Even in a non-canon Halloween episode, some taboos remained. The segment would have forced viewers to watch the Simpsons family seriously discuss eating each other. The comedy couldn't overcome the disturbing premise. The script was filed and never developed further. Whether animation was completed remains unclear. Most reports suggest the segment died at the script stage, but some sources claim storyboards were produced. One animator mentioned working on early visuals before the segment was canceled. The conflicting information makes it difficult to determine how far production progressed. The segment's controversial nature means fewer people were involved, reducing available information. It likely never reached full animation, but might exist as rough sketches. Additional cut segments are harder to verify. Rumors of other deleted Treehouse segments circulate among fans. A segment about Bart selling his soul to the devil was supposedly cut for religious concerns, though a different soul-selling segment did air. A segment where Lisa becomes president during an apocalypse was allegedly too political. A segment parodying The Exorcist was claimed to be too graphic. These reports are difficult to confirm. Production staff have not publicly verified these additional cut segments. They might be confused memories of pitched ideas that never developed, or they might be real segments that remain undisclosed. International broadcast differences do exist for Treehouse episodes. The United Kingdom sometimes aired segments that were edited or banned in America. European broadcasts occasionally included extended violence in Treehouse episodes, but these differences usually involve slight edits to aired segments, not entirely different segments. No confirmed cases exist of a segment airing abroad but not in America, except possibly Night of the Living Ned. The international variation is more about editing than wholesale replacement. DVD releases treat Treehouse segments carefully. Most deleted material is not included. The standard practice is releasing only broadcast versions. Some DVD sets include brief mentions and commentary tracks. Writers sometimes describe cut segments vaguely, but actual footage or scripts are never provided as extras. The DVD releases aim to present the show as it aired, not as a comprehensive archive. This policy extends to Treehouse of Horror episodes despite their non-canon status. Commentary about cut segments appears sporadically. Various writers and producers have mentioned deleted Treehouse material in interviews over the years. Al Jean discussed the difficulty of creating appropriate horror content for children. He explained that some segments are too scary even within the Halloween special format. Matt Groening mentioned that Treehouse episodes get more network scrutiny than people expect. The horror theme doesn't grant unlimited freedom. Standards apply throughout production and editing. Writer discussions of banned material remain limited. Most writers prefer not to discuss cut segments in detail. The material was rejected for reasons they generally agree with. Drawing attention to deleted content serves little purpose. Occasionally, a writer will mention a cut segment to illustrate creative boundaries, but comprehensive discussions are rare. The writers respect the decisions that were made even when they personally disagreed. Professional discretion prevents detailed revelations about controversial material. Future likelihood of release is minimal. Fox has no incentive to release controversial deleted material. The segments were cut for good reasons. Releasing them would generate negative publicity. Family organizations would criticize the content. The network would face questions about why material deemed inappropriate is now being sold. The risk outweighs any potential benefit. The deleted segments will likely remain archived indefinitely without public release. Treehouse of Horror segments represent the most extensive collection of deleted Simpsons content. Unlike single-band episodes, this is an ongoing pattern across 3 decades. At least 7 complete segments were animated and voiced but never aired. Some were replaced with alternatives. Others were simply removed, shortening the episode. The decision to cut horror content from horror-themed episodes seems contradictory, but network standards applied differently to graphic violence versus satirical violence. Most cut segments remain in Fox archives, occasionally discussed by writers, but never officially released. The segments that replaced them aired successfully, and viewers never knew they were seeing second choices. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying this breakdown. Moving on to the lost audio recordings, we've got the uncensored table read tapes, the Simpsons uncensored table read tapes, recordings that capture the raw, unfiltered voice acting sessions before censorship. The Simpsons cast performs every script as a table read before animation begins. During these sessions, actors improvise, ad-lib, and sometimes use profanity. The recordings are archived by Fox but have never been officially released. Occasionally, clips leak online, revealing deleted jokes, alternate line readings, and extended scenes that never made it to animation. The most sought-after recordings come from controversial episodes where the original table reads were significantly different from the broadcast versions. Today, these tapes exist in Fox's archives, but the network has consistently refused to release them. The Simpsons production timeline follows a structured process. Scripts are written and rewritten over several weeks. Once a script reaches final draft status, the cast assembles for a table read. This happens approximately 6 months before the episode airs. The table read serves multiple purposes. Voice actors perform the script to test timing and joke delivery. Writers hear their work performed aloud. Producers identify problems with pacing or dialogue. The session reveals what works and what needs revision. Table reads occur in a conference room at Fox Studios. The cast sits around a large table with scripts in hand. Writers, producers, and network executives sit along the walls, observing. The session typically lasts 1 to 2 hours, depending on script length. Actors perform their characters' voices while reading stage directions aloud. Someone reads the narration and scene descriptions. The atmosphere is casual and collaborative. Actors frequently break character to comment or joke. These moments often generate the best improvisation. The attendees include the main voice cast and any guest stars available. Dan Castellaneta, Julie Kavner, Nancy Cartwright, Yeardley Smith, Hank Azaria, and Harry Shearer attend every table read. Guest stars sometimes participate in person or record their lines separately. Matt Groening attends most table reads. Al Jean and other showrunners are always present. The writing staff fills the room. Network executives occasionally attend, especially for significant episodes. The room contains 20 to 30 people during a typical session. The format encourages improvisation and experimentation. Actors try different line readings. They suggest alternate jokes. They riff on the material. The writers watch for moments that get genuine laughs. Strong improvisation sometimes gets incorporated into the final script. The table read is collaborative rather than rigid. Nobody expects actors to read exactly as written. The goal is finding the funniest version of each scene. This creative freedom produces material that ranges from brilliant to unusable. Recording equipment captures every table read. Multiple microphones record the session from different positions. The audio gets archived as part of the episode's production materials. The recordings serve as reference for later production stages. Voice actors can review their performances when recording final dialogue. Writers can check exact wording of improvised lines. The tapes provide a complete record of the creative process before network standards and animation constraints shape the final product. Archiving procedures treat table reads as internal production materials. The recordings are filed with other pre-production documents. They're labeled with episode number, title, and date. Access is restricted to production staff. The recordings are not meant for public consumption. They contain profanity, off-color jokes, and material that was deliberately cut. The casual nature of table reads produces content inappropriate for broadcast. The archives preserve this material for historical and reference purposes, not for release. Improvisation culture developed over decades of production. The voice cast has worked together since 1989. They understand each other's rhythms and comedic instincts. Dan Castellaneta frequently improvises Homer's dialogue. He tries multiple versions of lines to find the funniest delivery. Hank Azaria experiments with character voices during table reads. Harry Shearer adds subtle variations to his characters. Nancy Cartwright plays with Bart's attitude and energy. The long-running collaboration creates an environment where improvisation flourishes. Table reads affect final scripts significantly. Writers revise based on what works during performance. Jokes that seem funny on paper sometimes fall flat when spoken. Improvised alternatives often prove superior to written dialogue. The script that goes to animation frequently differs from the table-read version. But the table-read itself captures material that never appears anywhere else. The deleted improvisations, alternate takes, and experimental readings exist only on the archived recordings. The Homer's Enemy table read contains substantial differences from the aired episode. Dan Castellaneta improvised additional lines for Homer during Frank Grimes's breakdown. The table-read version had Homer responding to Grimes's rant with confused questions. Homer asked Grimes why he was so angry. Homer offered Grimes a donut. These lines were cut for pacing. The broadcast version kept Homer silent during the breakdown, letting Grimes's fury play without interruption. The table read showed a different interpretation where Homer tried to help and couldn't understand the situation. Deleted. Frank Grimes' lines appeared in the table read. Hank Azaria voiced Grimes with more profanity than the broadcast version. Grimes called Homer a specific profane term during his final meltdown. The word was replaced with safer alternatives during script revision. The table read captured Azaria's original performance with the stronger language. The recording reveals how the scene was conceived before network standards softened it. The deleted lines made Grimes's anger more visceral and realistic. Dan Castellaneta's improvisation during the funeral scene added material. Homer talked in his sleep about multiple topics in the table read version. The broadcast episode showed Homer saying, "Change the channel, Marge." The table read had Homer saying several additional sleep-talking lines. He mentioned donuts, Moe's Tavern, and Mr. Burns. The mourners laughed at each comment. The scene went longer, before being trimmed for time. Castellaneta's performance captured a more extended sequence of inappropriate funeral behavior. The 22 short films about Springfield Table read included additional vignettes. The episode featured numerous short segments about Springfield residents. The table read contained at least 5 segments that were cut entirely. These segments were scripted, performed, and recorded, but never animated. Budget and time constraints forced the producers to select only the strongest material. The deleted vignettes featured characters like Lenny, Carl, Krusty, and Apu in situations that didn't make the final episode. Extended steamed hams, alternate versions, exist in the table read. The steamed hams segment became one of the most famous Simpsons moments. The table read captured multiple takes of the dialogue. Harry Shearer tried different approaches to Skinner's lies about the roast burning. Dan Castellaneta experimented with Superintendent Chalmers's reactions. The improvisation produced variations on every line. Some readings were more aggressive, others more subtle. The broadcast version used one specific take, but the table read preserved all the alternatives. Fans would pay significant money to hear these alternate steamed hams recordings. Voice actor riffing between segments produced extensive material. The table reads captured conversations and jokes between scripted segments. Actors stayed in character while bantering. Homer talked to Moe between scenes. Bart and Lisa argued off script. These unscripted moments revealed the actors' understanding of their characters. The spontaneous dialogue sometimes surpassed the written material in quality, but it existed outside the episode's narrative structure. The recordings preserved these moments as production artifacts. The Itchy and Scratchy and Marge table read showed censorship differences. The episode dealt with cartoon violence and censorship ironically. The original script included more graphic descriptions of itchy and scratchy violence. The table read captured these descriptions being performed. Voice actors read detailed accounts of cartoon mayhem. The descriptions were toned down significantly before animation. Network standards required less explicit violence discussion even within a satire about censorship. The table read, recording reveals the original intensity before revision. Network notes affected the table read process directly. Network executives attending table reads sometimes objected to material immediately. A joke would be performed, and an executive would speak up. The writers would note the objection. The script would be revised before animation. This feedback loop shaped content before significant resources were invested. The table read, recordings capture these interventions occasionally. Background audio sometimes includes executives requesting changes. The moments reveal how network standards operated in real time during production. Fox refuses to release table read recordings for multiple reasons. The recordings contain profanity and adult content inappropriate for the show's audience. Voice actors improvised without expectation of public release. The casual environment produced material that was never meant for broadcast. Releasing the recordings would violate the trust between production and talent. Actors feel free to experiment during table reads because the sessions are private. Public release would make actors self-conscious and inhibit future improvisation. Voice actors' contracts address ownership and usage of recordings. The contracts specify that table read performances are work product owned by Fox, but they also include provisions about how that material can be used. The recordings are restricted to internal production purposes. Public release would require renegotiation and likely additional compensation. The legal complexity makes release difficult even if Fox wanted to. The contracts were written assuming table reads would remain private production materials. Concerns about context and misinterpretation drive the refusal to release. Jokes that work during a casual table read might seem offensive without context. Improvisation can cross lines that the production deliberately corrected. The table reads capture the creative process, including its failures and mistakes. Presenting that messy process to the public risks misunderstanding. Fox prefers releasing only polished final products. The table reads are intentionally rough and unfinished. Comparison to other shows' read-throughs highlights the unique situation. Saturday Night Live occasionally releases table read footage as bonus content. Those releases are heavily edited and curated. Only appropriate material is shown. The Simpsons table reads would require similar heavy editing. But even edited versions would reveal deleted material and censored content. Fox apparently decided the value of releasing excerpts doesn't justify the effort and potential controversy. The decision keeps all table read material permanently archived. Fan campaigns for release emerge periodically. Online petitions request Fox release table read recordings as DVD extras or streaming bonuses. These campaigns collect thousands of signatures. They argue the recordings are historical documents worth preserving. Fans want to hear the creative process. They want alternate versions of classic scenes. The campaigns generate media attention but never change Fox's position. The network maintains its refusal despite consistent demand. Bootleg circulation is limited by the recording's restricted access. Unlike finished episodes that aired publicly, table reads exist only in Fox's secure archives. Leaks are rare. The few clips that have appeared online come from production staff who had authorized access. These leaks are typically brief excerpts, not full recordings. Fox takes copyright claims seriously when bootleg table read audio appears online. The material gets removed quickly. The network protects the recordings more aggressively than typical deleted scenes. Legal implications prevent casual sharing. Production staff who leak table, read recordings, risk termination and legal action. Confidentiality agreements cover all production materials, including table reads. Violating these agreements has serious consequences. The legal risk keeps leaks minimal. Most production staff respect the boundaries despite fan interest. The few leaks that occur are usually from former staff members, no longer bound by active employment. Harry Shearer commented on table reads in a 2007 interview. He described them as the most fun part of production. The collaborative atmosphere and immediate feedback made table reads enjoyable. He said the best jokes often came from improvisation during these sessions. He acknowledged that some improvised material was inappropriate for broadcast. He supported keeping table reads private. He felt the creative freedom would be lost if actors' new recordings would be released publicly. Dan Castellaneta discussed improvisation during a panel appearance in 2010. He explained his process for finding Homer's voice during different emotional states. He mentioned trying multiple versions of lines during table reads. He said the recorded alternatives helped him when recording final dialogue. He could listen to different approaches and choose the best. He never suggested those recordings should be released. He treated them as working materials for production purposes only. Hank Azaria discussed censored material in a podcast interview. He mentioned performing lines during table reads that never made it to broadcast. He described the self-censorship process, where writers and actors identified material that went too far. He said some of his favorite moments happened during table reads, but were rightfully cut. He gave no specific examples. He maintained that keeping table reads private preserved creative freedom for future productions. Nancy Cartwright wrote about table reads in her autobiography. She described the energy and excitement of performing scripts for the first time. She mentioned improvising Bart's dialogue occasionally. She recalled specific table reads where the room erupted in laughter at unexpected jokes. She didn't provide details about deleted material. Her descriptions focused on the positive, collaborative atmosphere. She portrayed table reads as essential creative sessions that shaped the show's quality. The Simpsons table read, "Tapes remain one of the show's best-kept secrets." These recordings capture the creative process before network standards, animation budgets, and broadcast regulations shape the final product. The deleted material, improvised jokes, and uncensored language provide a window into how The Simpsons is actually made. But Fox treats these recordings as internal production materials, not public entertainment. Voice actors have occasionally shared stories about memorable table reads, but the actual audio stays locked away. The recordings exist in Fox archives alongside other unreleased material, and the network has given no indication they will ever be released. For fans who want to hear the original creative vision, these tapes represent the ultimate lost Simpsons content. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying this breakdown. Moving on to the episode with alternate versions and endings. Behind the Laughter, the Simpsons episode where viewers in different countries saw completely different endings. The Simpsons family's rise and fall gets documented in a parody of VH1's Behind the Music. The episode aired on the 21st of May, 2000 during The Simpsons' 11th season. American audiences saw the family move to northern Kentucky for tax reasons, but viewers in other countries saw entirely different endings. UK audiences watched them move to England. Australian viewers saw them relocate to Queensland. At least 4 separate endings were fully animated and voiced, making this the only Simpsons episode with legitimate alternate versions designed for different markets. Behind the Laughter followed the documentary format precisely. The episode opened with a narrator explaining the Simpson family's humble beginnings. The story tracked their rise to fame as America's favorite family. Early success led to merchandising deals and celebrity appearances. Money and fame corrupted their relationships. Homer developed a painkiller addiction. Marge became a monster. The children acted out. The family nearly destroyed itself before finding redemption through therapy and forgiveness. The mockumentary structure parodied VH1's celebrity documentary series perfectly. The behind-the-music parody format allowed meta-commentary on The Simpsons itself. The episode acknowledged the show's commercial success. It joked about merchandise oversaturation. It referenced the voice actors and production staff. The episode existed partly outside normal Simpsons continuity. The documentary framing created distance from regular episodes. This allowed the writers to comment on the show's own history and cultural impact. The self-referential humor distinguished it from typical episodes. Celebrity cameos and references filled the episode. Willie Nelson appeared as himself discussing Homer's addiction. Various Springfield residents were interviewed about the family's behavior. The documentary included fake archival footage and behind-the-scenes moments. The episode referenced real Simpsons history, including the Tracy Ullman show shorts. The dense reference-heavy script rewarded longtime viewers. Every scene contained jokes about the show's production or cultural phenomenon status. The decision to create multiple endings came from the international broadcast team. The Simpsons aired worldwide in dozens of countries. The show's writers occasionally customized content for different markets. Regional references sometimes changed. Cultural sensitivities were addressed. Behind the Laughter's ending involved the family relocating for tax purposes. The writers realized they could customize the destination for different regions. This would create unique versions that felt locally relevant. The idea emerged during script development and gained immediate support. Production approved creating multiple endings despite the additional cost. Each ending required separate animation, voice recording, and editing. The expense was justified by the episode's special nature. Behind the Laughter was the season finale. Fox wanted it to feel significant. The international broadcast team argued that customized endings would generate publicity. Local media would cover the regional specificity. The investment would pay off through increased viewership and cultural conversation. Fox approved the budget for 4 distinct endings. The American ending featured Northern Kentucky as the relocation destination. The narrator explained the family moved to avoid high taxes. A title card read Northern Kentucky as the family arrived at their new home. Homer made jokes about bourbon and horse racing. The children complained about leaving Springfield. Marge remained optimistic about their fresh start. The ending lasted approximately 60 seconds. It resolved the family's financial problems while maintaining the show's animated status quo. The ending worked as a simple resolution without deeper commentary. Specific jokes about Kentucky appeared throughout the segment. Homer mentioned the Kentucky Derby and bourbon distilleries. Bart complained about the local accent. Lisa researched Kentucky history and seemed interested. The jokes were gentle and affectionate rather than mocking. The writers avoided regional stereotypes that might offend Kentucky residents. The ending felt like a natural conclusion to the tax evasion storyline. American audiences accepted it without questioning whether other versions existed. The location was chosen for mild comedy potential. Kentucky bordered Ohio and Indiana, states previously referenced in the show. The region was recognizable to American audiences without being too specific. Kentucky's cultural associations provided joke opportunities without being controversial. The state had appeared in Simpsons episodes before. The choice felt consistent with the show's geography. Northern Kentucky specifically referenced the Cincinnati metropolitan area, a location familiar to many viewers. Reception in the United States was positive but unremarkable. The episode was praised for its format parody and self-referential humor. The ending was barely mentioned in reviews. Critics focused on the documentary structure and celebrity appearances. The Kentucky destination seemed like a throwaway detail. Nobody suspected alternate endings existed. The American version was accepted as the definitive episode. Only later did international viewers reveal the variations. The UK ending showed the family moving to England. The narrator explained they relocated to avoid American taxes and embrace British culture. A title card read England as the family arrived at a countryside estate. Homer made jokes about tea and the Queen. Bart complained about the weather. Lisa expressed excitement about British literature and history. Marge worried about driving on the left side of the road. The segment lasted approximately 60 seconds, matching the American version's length. British references and humor dominated the UK version. Homer mentioned fish and chips, football, and pubs. Lisa talked about visiting Shakespeare's birthplace. Bart joked about British slang. The family encountered a Bobby directing traffic. The jokes played on American perceptions of British culture. The humor was affectionate rather than satirical. British audiences appreciated the customization. The ending felt like the show acknowledging its substantial UK viewership. Cultural references specific to England appeared throughout. The family's estate resembled a manor house from period dramas. The animation included stereotypical British imagery like double-decker buses and red telephone boxes. Homer wore a bowler hat briefly. The jokes referenced British television, monarchy, and social customs. The writers created an ending that British viewers would recognize as tailored for them. The specificity demonstrated respect for the international audience. Animation differences existed beyond just location text. The UK version showed different backgrounds. The countryside setting looked distinctly British, with specific architecture and landscape details. The animators created unique establishing shots. The character animations remained consistent, but the environment changed completely. This required additional animation work beyond simple text replacement. The production invested in making each version feel genuinely different. Voice acting variations appeared in regional references. Dan Castellaneta recorded Homer's lines multiple times with different location names and jokes. Julie Kavner recorded Marge's concerns about different cultural adjustments. Nancy Cartwright's Bart complained about different regional specifics. The voice actors recorded lines for each version during a single extended session. They performed the same emotional beats while swapping regional details. The recordings captured multiple takes of similar material customized for different markets. The Australian ending relocated the family to Queensland. The narrator explained they moved for better weather and relaxed lifestyle. A title card read Queensland, Australia, as the family arrived at a beach house. Homer made jokes about surfing and barbecues. Bart expressed excitement about the beach. Lisa worried about dangerous wildlife. Marge commented on the heat. The segment matched the length of other versions at approximately 60 seconds. Australian-specific humor filled the Queensland version. Homer mentioned shrimp on the Barbie, deliberately using the Americanized phrase. Bart wanted to learn surfing immediately. Lisa researched deadly spiders and snakes. The family encountered a kangaroo in their yard. The jokes played on Australian stereotypes Americans would recognize, but they were delivered with enough affection that Australian audiences enjoyed them. The ending acknowledged Australia's significance as a major Simpsons market. The Queensland location was chosen strategically. Queensland is Australia's vacation destination state. The beach lifestyle fit the show's animation style. The location was recognizable to international audiences unfamiliar with Australian geography. Brisbane and the Gold Coast provided cultural reference points. The choice balanced Australian specificity with broad international understanding. The ending worked for Australian viewers while remaining comprehensible to others who might see it later. Animation quality remained consistent across all versions. The Australian version featured unique backgrounds showing Queensland beaches and tropical vegetation. The Simpson house was redesigned as a beach property. The establishing shots showed Australian landmarks and scenery. The animation team created completely different environmental art for this version. The investment in unique animation demonstrated Fox's commitment to making each version feel authentic rather than just changing text overlays. A Latin American version reportedly existed with a different destination. Reports suggest the family relocated to Mexico in this version. The evidence for this version is less concrete than the others. Some international broadcast schedules listed it. Viewers in Latin American countries reported seeing a different ending, but comprehensive documentation is lacking. The Mexican version may have been planned but not completed, or it aired in limited markets and wasn't widely documented. The uncertainty makes this version the most mysterious. Canadian broadcasts reportedly used the American version without changes. Canada's proximity to the United States meant the Northern Kentucky ending made geographic sense. Some reports suggest a Toronto-specific version was considered but never produced. Budget constraints might have prevented creating a fifth distinct ending. Canadian audiences saw either the American or UK version depending on their broadcaster. The lack of a distinct Canadian ending was noted by Canadian media at the time. Production required extensive coordination for multiple versions. The animation studios worked on 4 distinct sequences simultaneously. Voice actors recorded multiple takes with different location names. Editors assembled separate final cuts for each market. International broadcast coordinators received different versions based on their region. The distribution system needed to track which version went where. The complexity exceeded typical localization efforts. This was fundamental content. Customization, not just translation or dubbing. The animation budget for alternate endings significantly exceeded normal costs. Creating 4 distinct final sequences required 4 times the usual animation work. Background artists designed multiple environments. Character animators worked on sequences with different staging. The budget accommodated this expense because behind the laughter was a season finale. Fox allocated additional resources for special episodes. The international broadcast revenue justified the investment. Multiple markets received content specifically tailored to them. Voice recording sessions extended beyond typical duration. The cast recorded dialogue for all versions consecutively. Dan Castellaneta performed Homer's arrival dialogue 4 separate times with different locations and jokes. The other actors did the same. The recording session took longer than usual, but having all actors present meant they could maintain consistent energy and delivery across versions. The performances matched despite the regional variations. Writers crafted jokes specific to each region separately. Different staff members specialized in different markets' humor. The writers researched regional references and cultural touchstones. They consulted with international broadcast partners. The goal was creating endings that felt natural to local audiences. The jokes couldn't seem forced or rely on stereotypes. The writing process involved more research and collaboration than typical episodes. The effort showed in the final product's authenticity. Decision-making about which jokes worked where involved international input. Broadcast partners in each region reviewed proposed jokes. They identified references that might not land. They suggested alternatives. The collaborative process ensured regional appropriateness. American writers couldn't fully understand British or Australian cultural nuances. The international partners provided essential expertise. The final jokes reflected genuine collaboration between American production and international markets. DVD releases complicated the alternate ending situation. The American DVD release included only the Northern Kentucky version. International DVD releases typically used their regional version. The Season 11 box set acknowledged multiple endings existed. DVD commentary mentioned the alternate versions briefly, but no DVD release included all versions. Viewers could only see their region's ending without seeking out bootlegs or international copies. Which version appears on U.S. DVDs was determined by broadcast priority. The American market represented the largest audience. The Northern Kentucky ending was treated as the primary version. DVD producers didn't consider including alternates as bonus features. The decision reflected standard DVD practices at the time. Deleted scenes and alternates were not routinely included. The Behind the Laughter DVD followed this pattern despite the unique circumstance. International DVD releases mirrored their broadcast versions. UK DVD buyers received the England ending. Australian releases included the Queensland version. DVD markets were region-locked, preventing easy comparison. Viewers typically didn't know other versions existed unless they sought information online. The DVD situation mirrored the original broadcast strategy of providing region-specific content without advertising the customization. Disney Plus launched with the Northern Kentucky version globally. The streaming service didn't maintain regional variations. American content strategy dominated. International subscribers saw the same version as American subscribers. This marked the first time many international viewers encountered the American ending. Online discussions revealed the discrepancy. Fans realized the episode existed in multiple forms. Disney Plus forums featured conversations comparing versions. How to see alternate endings became a common question. Fans sought bootleg recordings from international broadcasts. YouTube uploads appeared sporadically before copyright claims removed them. Compilation videos showing all endings attracted significant views. The interest demonstrated that fans cared about seeing complete content, but official channels provided no legal way to access all versions. The endings remained scattered across regional markets without comprehensive release. Fan communities compared versions extensively. Online forums dissected differences. Fans ranked which ending worked best. Arguments emerged about whether regional customization was respectful or patronizing. Some fans loved the localization effort. Others felt the alternates were unnecessary. The debate revealed different perspectives on international content strategy. The conversation kept interest alive decades after original broadcast. The Simpsons experimented with regional customization before and after Behind the Laughter. Minor dialogue changes occurred in some episodes. Cultural references were occasionally swapped, but no other episode featured completely different narrative endings. Behind the Laughter remained unique in scope and execution. The experiment was apparently not repeated due to cost and complexity. The episode stands alone as the show's most elaborate international customization. Other shows rarely attempted similar regional variations. Animation costs make creating alternate versions prohibitively expensive. Live-action shows sometimes film different scenes for international markets, but animated shows typically use universal content with dubbing for language. The Simpsons had the budget and international presence to justify Behind the Laughter's experiment. Most shows lack both resources and motivation. Impact on future production decisions was minimal. The Simpsons returned to universal content. Episodes occasionally referenced specific countries but avoided endings, requiring regional variants. The cost-benefit analysis apparently didn't justify repeating the experiment. Behind the Laughter's customization remained a unique special case. Later season finales used standard production without regional alternatives. Behind the Laughter stands as the only Simpsons episode deliberately produced with multiple complete endings. Unlike deleted scenes or abandoned ideas, these were all finished, broadcast versions shown to millions of viewers. The decision to customize the ending for different markets required extra animation, voice work, and writing. This level of effort makes it unique in Simpsons history. Most shows localize through dubbing or cultural references, but The Simpsons created entirely different narrative conclusions. All versions remain officially part of Simpsons canon. The American, British, and Australian endings all exist in broadcast form, preserved on various DVD releases and international streaming services. This episode proves The Simpsons experimented with format and distribution in ways rarely seen in animated television. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying this breakdown. Moving on to the movie deleted scenes. The Simpsons movie deleted subplots that would have added 40 minutes to the runtime. Homer accidentally pollutes Springfield's lake, causing the EPA to trap the town under a dome. The movie premiered on the 27th of July, 2007, earning over $536 million worldwide. The theatrical version runs 87 minutes, but the original cut was over 2 hours long. At least 3 major subplots were completely animated and voiced before being cut. A Krusty the Clown storyline involving his gambling debts was removed entirely. An extended government conspiracy involving President Schwarzenegger was trimmed significantly. An alternate ending where Springfield remains doomed was scrapped after test screenings. These deleted scenes exist in completed form, occasionally glimpsed in behind-the-scenes materials, but never released as a full extended cut. The Simpsons movie development began in the late 1990s. Matt Groening and James L. Brooks had discussed a theatrical film for years. The success of other animated films convinced them the market existed. Fox approved the project officially in 2003. The writing process took over 3 years. Multiple scripts were written and discarded. The pressure to create a story worthy of theatrical release was immense. The television show had aired for nearly 2 decades. The movie needed to justify its existence beyond simply being a longer episode. Original runtime targets aimed for approximately 90 minutes. This represented standard feature film length. The script needed enough story to sustain a movie without feeling padded. Early drafts ran longer. The first completed assembly cut exceeded 125 minutes. This was far too long for a mainstream animated comedy. The editing process became about identifying what to remove. Every subplot and sequence faced scrutiny. Only material essential to the main story would survive. Test screening feedback drove major editing decisions. The Simpsons movie underwent extensive test screenings during 2006 and early 2007. Audiences watched different cuts and provided feedback. Response cards rated various elements. Focus groups discussed what worked and what didn't. The test screenings revealed that certain subplots slowed the main story. Audiences became restless during extended sequences that didn't advance Homer's journey. The feedback was consistent enough that major cuts became necessary. Matt Groening and Al Jean led the editing decisions. They worked with film editor David Silverman to shape the final cut. James L. Brooks provided input throughout the process. The team watched different assemblies repeatedly. They timed audience reactions during screenings. They measured which scenes got laughs and which prompted silence. The editing became a surgical process of removing content that diminished the overall experience. Even fully animated scenes were cut if they hurt the film's momentum. Theatrical release requirements influence cut decisions. Theater chains prefer films under 100 minutes for mainstream releases. Shorter runtime allows more screenings per day. More screenings generate more revenue. Fox pressured the production team to deliver a film under 90 minutes. The pressure wasn't just artistic but commercial. Every minute over 90 reduced the film's profit potential. The deleted subplots were casualties of runtime economics. The Krusty gambling storyline represented the largest single cut. Krusty had accumulated massive gambling debts with mobsters. The subplot showed him trying to pay off the debt while maintaining his show. He attempted various money-making schemes. He sold Krusty brand merchandise aggressively. He promoted questionable products on his show. The desperation drove Krusty to unethical behavior. The subplot paralleled Homer's environmental crime. Both characters made selfish choices that hurt others. The complete Krusty plot summary followed his escalating crisis. The subplot opened with Krusty receiving threats from mobsters he owed money. He needed $1 million within weeks. Krusty pitched terrible ideas to his network. He created offensive sketches to boost ratings. His show became increasingly desperate and mean-spirited. The Springfield Dome crisis interrupted his money-making efforts. Krusty tried using the crisis to generate ratings. He broadcast from inside the dome. He exploited Springfield's suffering for entertainment. How Krusty's plot intersected with the main story occurred during the dome sequence. When the EPA trapped Springfield, Krusty's show continued broadcasting. He interviewed trapped citizens. He turned suffering into comedy. The main characters encountered Krusty filming in Springfield. Homer briefly worked with Krusty on a scheme. The interaction was meant to show how the crisis affected everyone differently. Krusty saw opportunity where others saw disaster. The subplot was cut because it distracted from Homer's journey. Test audiences found Krusty's story confusing. The gambling debt wasn't established early enough. Viewers didn't understand why they should care about Krusty's problems when Springfield was trapped under a dome. The subplot felt like a separate movie competing for attention. The emotional investment stayed with the Simpson family. Krusty's problems seemed trivial by comparison. The cut improved the film's focus dramatically. Length of deleted material approached 15 minutes. The Krusty subplot appeared throughout the film. Multiple scenes were scattered across the first 2 acts. Each scene ran 2 to 3 minutes. The cumulative effect was substantial. Removing the entire storyline tightened the film significantly. The runtime dropped closer to the target length. The pacing improved as dead spots disappeared. The film maintained better momentum without Krusty's diversions. Voice actors involved included Dan Castellaneta as Krusty. He recorded extensive dialogue for the subplot. The recording sessions preceded the decision to cut the material. Castellaneta performed Krusty's desperation convincingly. The deleted scenes featured some of his best work as the character. Other voice actors appeared in the Krusty subplot briefly. Harry Shearer voiced mobsters threatening Krusty. Hank Azaria performed various characters in Krusty's schemes. All their work was completed before the cut. The extended EPA and government conspiracy subplot featured more Russ Cargill. The theatrical version showed Cargill as the EPA head who trapped Springfield under the dome. The extended version gave him a more complex motivation. Cargill was conducting an experiment in population control. The dome wasn't just punishment for pollution, it was testing whether isolated populations could survive without outside resources. The conspiracy went deeper than the theatrical version suggested. Original scenes with Arnold Schwarzenegger as president appeared throughout. The theatrical version included brief President Schwarzenegger scenes. The extended cut had significantly more. The president actively participated in the conspiracy. He understood Cargill's real goals. He supported the experiment for political reasons. The scenes showed the president making cynical calculations about acceptable losses. The conspiracy portrayed government as deliberately malicious rather than incompetent. Additional political satire elements filled the extended conspiracy. The scenes mocked Bush-era politics more directly. References to Iraq War, Hurricane Katrina, and other contemporary issues appeared. The satire was sharper and more specific than the theatrical version. Test audiences found the political content heavy-handed. The humor became preachy rather than funny. The criticism landed too heavily. The theatrical version softened the satire significantly. The cuts made the government appear bureaucratically incompetent rather than actively evil. How the theatrical version simplified the plot became evident in comparison. The finished film presented the dome as an overreaction to pollution. Cargill was an overzealous environmental official. His motivations were simple and understandable, even if extreme. The simplified version moved faster. Audiences didn't need to understand complex conspiracy theories. The straightforward plot let the family drama take center stage. The simplification improved the film's accessibility. The alternate, darker ending showed Springfield's complete destruction. After Homer saved the town in the theatrical version, everyone celebrated. The deleted ending was far grimmer. Homer's plan failed. The bomb destroyed Springfield. The town was permanently uninhabitable. The Simpson family survived but lost their home forever. The ending showed them driving away from the ruins. Lisa looked back at burning wreckage. The film ended on devastating loss rather than triumph. Description of the original ending structure followed the family's grief. The scene showed each family member processing the destruction. Marge cried silently. Bart stared in shock. Lisa mourned her home and friends. Maggie looked confused. Homer felt crushing guilt. The animation depicted their faces in close-up. No dialogue was spoken. Music played over the images. The sequence lasted approximately 2 minutes. The emotional devastation was complete. Test audience reaction to the dark ending was overwhelmingly negative. Response cards rated it as the film's worst element. Focus groups expressed anger at the depressing conclusion. Audience members said they felt betrayed. They expected a Simpsons movie to be funny and hopeful. The dark ending violated audience expectations. People reported feeling physically upset. Some cried. The test screenings proved the ending wouldn't work commercially. The decision to create a happier ending came immediately after the first test screening. Matt Groening and the producers watched audience reactions in real time. The negative response was instant and clear. The team met that night to discuss alternatives. They developed the current ending where Homer saves Springfield and reconciles with his family. The new ending was written, animated, and scored within weeks. The production schedule was adjusted to accommodate the change. Extended Alaska sequences provided more character development. The theatrical version showed the Simpson family hiding in Alaska briefly. The extended cut had them living there for longer. Multiple scenes showed them adapting to wilderness life. Homer worked odd jobs. Marge struggled with isolation. The children missed Springfield. The scenes developed the family's emotional journey more thoroughly. The extended Alaska material added approximately 8 minutes to the runtime. Additional character moments deepened relationships. Marge and Homer had an extended conversation about their marriage. Lisa bonded with a local environmentalist. Bart befriended an Inuit teenager. These scenes provided character growth and emotional depth, but they slowed the plot's momentum. Test audiences found the Alaska section too long. They wanted the family to return to Springfield sooner. The additional character work was sacrificed for pacing. Cut musical numbers existed in early versions. The Simpsons movie was briefly conceived as a partial musical. Several songs were written and recorded. One song had Homer singing about his environmental ignorance. Another featured the townspeople lamenting the dome. Green Day performed a song that was extended in early cuts. The musical elements were gradually reduced. Test audiences responded poorly to full musical numbers. The theatrical version kept only brief musical moments. The cut songs exist as completed recordings and partial animation. Trimmed action sequences streamlined the climax. The theatrical version's finale featured Homer and Bart motorcycling down the dome's exterior. Early cuts extended this sequence significantly. Additional obstacles appeared. More near misses occurred. The action lasted twice as long. Test screenings showed audiences grew tired of extended action. The excitement peaked and then declined. The trimmed version maintained intensity by ending at the perfect moment. The cut action footage was fully animated, but removed for pacing. Why cuts were made reflected commercial filmmaking realities. Every film undergoes editing. Animated films face particular pressure because animation is expensive. Cutting animated footage means discarding significant investment, but keeping weak material damages the film more than cutting costs. The Simpsons movie's deletions improved the final product. The theatrical version was tighter, funnier, and more emotionally satisfying. The deleted subplots were interesting but ultimately expendable. Pacing concerns dominated the editing discussion. The film needed to maintain momentum from beginning to end. Any sequence that slowed the story faced removal. The crusty subplot, extended conspiracy, and darker ending all disrupted pacing. The cuts created a more streamlined narrative. Audiences stayed engaged throughout the theatrical version. The deleted material would have created drag that undermined the film's energy. Runtime requirements for theatrical release established hard limits. Theater chains communicated their preferences clearly. Films over 100 minutes presented scheduling challenges. The Simpsons movie needed to be under 90 minutes, ideally. The target forced difficult choices. Material that might have worked in a longer film couldn't survive the time constraints. The cuts were necessary to meet commercial requirements. Test audience feedback provided clear direction. The screenings removed subjectivity from decisions. Audience reactions were measured and analyzed. The data showed which scenes worked and which didn't. The crusty subplot scored poorly. The dark ending tested disastrously. The extended conspiracy confused viewers. The feedback guided editing objectively. Personal preferences yielded to empirical evidence. Studio notes from Fox reinforced the editing direction. Fox executives attended test screenings. They reviewed audience feedback. They provided notes consistent with the data. Fox wanted a commercially successful film. The notes emphasized pacing, accessibility, and emotional satisfaction. The studio's input aligned with the test screening results. The collaboration between filmmakers and studio produced the final cut. The creative team's reasoning balanced art and commerce. Matt Groening wanted the best possible film. That meant cutting material he loved if it hurt the overall experience. Al Jean agreed that shorter was better. The team made peace with losing completed animation. They prioritized the theatrical experience over preserving every idea. The discipline produced a focused, effective film. Current availability of deleted scenes is limited. The DVD and Blu-ray releases included some deleted material. A handful of scenes appeared as bonus features, but the complete extended cut was never assembled. The crusty subplot exists as isolated scenes, not a coherent storyline. The dark ending appears as storyboards, not finished animation. The extended conspiracy scenes are excerpted, not presented completely. The deleted content remains fragmented. DVD and Blu-ray deleted scenes, sections offer glimpses. Approximately 15 minutes of deleted material appears as extras. The scenes are presented with incomplete animation. Some are fully rendered, Others are rough animatics. Director commentary explains why each scene was cut. The explanations emphasize pacing and focus. The deleted scenes section satisfies curiosity without providing the full extended cut. What was officially released versus kept in the vault depends on completion. Fully animated scenes were more likely to appear on DVD. Rough or incomplete sequences stayed in the vault. The dark ending storyboards appeared because they told a complete story visually. The crusty subplot scenes were scattered and contextless. Fox released enough to demonstrate what was cut without providing an alternate film. Storyboards and animatics are available for some sequences. The bonus features include rough versions of deleted scenes. Storyboards with voiceover provide a sense of how scenes would have played. Animatics with timing and basic animation show scene flow. These materials let fans understand what was planned, but they can't replace finished animation. The rough presentations emphasize how much work goes into animation. Director commentary discusses cuts extensively. Matt Groening, David Silverman, and the producers recorded commentary for the DVD release. They explained the editing process thoroughly. They expressed regret about losing certain scenes, but they defended the decisions as necessary. The commentary provides valuable insight into filmmaking pressures. The discussion humanizes the difficult choices involved in cutting completed material. Fan campaigns for extended cut exist, but remain unsuccessful. Online petitions request Fox release a complete extended edition. Fans argue enough deleted material exists to justify it. They want to see the crusty subplot fully. They want the dark ending assembled. They want every deleted scene restored. The campaigns generate thousands of signatures. But Fox has never indicated interest in creating an extended cut. The Simpsons movie deleted subplots represent the most extensive single collection of cut Simpsons content. Unlike TV episodes where scenes are trimmed for time, these were creative decisions to fundamentally change the story. The crusty subplot was completely removed, not just shortened. The alternate ending was entirely replaced. This level of revision is unusual for animated films, where every frame costs money and production time. All deleted material was fully animated, meaning Fox spent resources creating content they ultimately didn't use. Some deleted scenes appear on DVD releases, but the complete extended cut has never been assembled or released. The movie succeeded financially and critically in its theatrical form, suggesting the cuts improved the final product. But the alternate version, over 2 hours long with darker themes and additional subplots, exists somewhere in Fox's archives as a fascinatingly different take on The Simpsons' theatrical debut. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying this breakdown. Moving on to the pilot differences and lost early materials. The Tracy Ullman Show Simpsons shorts, the original versions with lost episodes that predate the series. Before The Simpsons became a half-hour show, they appeared as short segments on The Tracy Ullman Show. From the 19th of April, 1987 to the 14th of May, 1989, 48 Simpsons shorts aired on the variety show. What most fans don't know is that at least 5 additional shorts were produced but never broadcast. These lost shorts featured early versions of characters who would become Simpsons regulars. The animation was rougher, the voices were different, and the humor was darker than what eventually appeared on Fox. Some shorts were deemed too controversial for the Tracy Ullman Show's family audience. Others were simply lost in the transition to becoming a full series. Today, fragments of these lost shorts exist in production materials and animation tests, but complete versions have never been released. The Tracy Ullman Show premiered on the 5th of April, 1987 on the new Fox network. The variety show featured sketch comedy, musical performances, and short animated segments. Fox needed original programming to establish its network identity. Tracy Ullman was a talented performer with British and American appeal. The show received substantial promotion and production resources. It was Fox's first major attempt at original primetime programming. The network's future partly depended on the show's success. The decision to include animated shorts came from producer James L. Brooks. He had seen Matt Groening's Life in Hell comic strip in alternative newspapers. The comic featured cynical rabbits and sardonic humor. Brooks approached Groening about creating animated segments based on life in hell. Groening agreed initially but changed his mind during the meeting. He realized creating Simpsons shorts meant giving up rights to life in hell characters. He decided to create new characters on the spot. Matt Groening's Life in Hell comic influenced The Simpsons' early aesthetic. The rough drawing style carried over. The dysfunctional family dynamic appeared in Life in Hell in The Simpsons. The dark humor and cynicism transferred directly. Groening drew the Simpson family in the lobby minutes before pitching them. He named characters after his own family members. Homer was his father's name. Marge was his mother's name. His sisters were Lisa and Maggie. Bart was an anagram of brat. The family was autobiographical with exaggeration. James L. Brooks' involvement provided credibility and resources. Brooks had produced the Mary Tyler Moore show Taxi and Terms of Endearment. His track record meant Fox trusted his judgment. Brooks secured funding for the animated shorts. He connected Groening with Klasky Csupo Animation Studio. He provided creative support and industry expertise. Without Brooks's involvement, The Simpsons likely wouldn't have been produced. His reputation opened doors that an unknown comic strip artist couldn't access. Klasky Csupo Animation Studio handled production. The studio was known for rough, edgy animation style. Gabor Csupo and Arlene Klasky founded the studio in 1982. They animated music videos, commercials, and experimental shorts. Their aesthetic was deliberately crude and underground. The studio perfectly matched Groening's vision for The Simpsons. The rough animation suited the dysfunctional family concept. Polished Disney-style animation would have undermined the show's edge. The first short that aired was titled Good Night. It appeared during the Tracy Ullman Show's second episode on the 19th of April, 1987. The short showed Homer and Marge putting the children to bed. Each child expressed different fears. Bart worried about monsters. Lisa feared nightmares. Maggie sucked her pacifier silently. Homer dismissed their concerns. Marge tried to comfort them. The short lasted approximately 1 minute. The animation was extremely crude. Character designs were rough. Movement was limited. But the family dynamic was already evident. The format of shorts within the variety show followed a consistent pattern. Simpsons shorts appeared between live-action sketches. They served as palate cleansers and transitions. Each short ran 1 to 3 minutes. The shorts focused on simple domestic situations. Bedtime, breakfast, watching television, and sibling fights provided basic premises. The humor came from the family's dysfunction and Homer's incompetence. The shorts had no continuing storylines. Each was self-contained. Contract and payment disputes arose immediately. Groening and the Tracy Ullman show producers disagreed about ownership and compensation. Groening believed he owned the characters. The producers claimed work for hire meant Fox owned them. The dispute continued throughout the short's production. Groening received relatively small payments for each short. The compensation didn't reflect the character's value. When The Simpsons became a series, the ownership questions intensified. Legal battles over merchandising and rights lasted years. Character designs evolved dramatically from early shorts to the series. Homer originally had a simple semicircle for his head. His design became more refined over time. Early Homer had visible differences in every short. His body proportions shifted. His facial features moved. Consistency wasn't prioritized during the shorts. The animation studio was learning the characters. Design stabilized as the shorts progressed. By 1989, Homer resembled his eventual series appearance more closely. Marge's voice changed between early shorts and the series. Julie Kavner voiced Marge from the beginning, but her interpretation evolved. Early Marge had a higher, less distinctive voice. Kavner developed the raspy quality gradually. The character's personality also shifted. Early Marge was more aggressive and less patient. Series. Marge became warmer and more tolerant. Kavner and the writers found the character together over time. Bart's character underwent the most significant personality shift. Early Bart was simply bratty without nuance. He tormented Lisa constantly. He disrespected Homer openly. The early version lacked charm or redeeming qualities. Series Bart gained complexity. He became mischievous rather than cruel. His intelligence and loyalty emerged. Nancy Cartwright's voice performance evolved alongside the character. Early Bart sounded more generically childlike. Series Bart developed the distinctive vocal qualities that defined him. Lisa's early characterization emphasized generic childhood rather than intellect. Early Lisa wasn't yet the precocious intellectual. She fought with Bart like any sibling. Her saxophone playing hadn't been established. Her progressive politics hadn't emerged. She was simply a middle child. Series Lisa developed complexity quickly. Her intelligence and activism defined her. The character became a voice for left-wing politics and cultural commentary. Maggie's role in shorts was minimal. She appeared in many shorts but rarely factored into plots. She sucked her pacifier. She watched silently. The shorts didn't develop her character beyond being a baby. Series episodes occasionally featured Maggie more prominently, but even in the series, she remained the least developed family member. The shorts established her basic role that continued for decades. Dan Castellaneta finding Homer's voice happened gradually over dozens of shorts. Castellaneta experimented with different vocal qualities. Early Homer sounded different in each short. The voice was less consistent than later. Castellaneta tried various approaches to Homer's stupidity. Sometimes Homer sounded angry, sometimes confused, sometimes just slow. The iconic doe didn't appear until later shorts. Castellaneta refined the voice through trial and error across 2 years of shorts. Julie Kavner's Marge evolution involved finding the character's warmth. Early Marge was harsh and critical. Kavner softened the performance over time. The raspy voice quality intensified as Kavner explored the character. Marge's maternal instincts became more prominent. The evolution happened naturally as Kavner understood the character better. By the time the series started, Kavner had fully developed Marge's vocal and emotional characteristics. Nancy Cartwright's early Bart experimented with attitude levels. Cartwright had to find how bratty was too bratty. Early performances varied in aggression. Some shorts had Bart as almost villainous. Others played him as merely annoying. Cartwright gradually calibrated Bart's rebelliousness. She found the balance between disrespectful and lovable. The Tracy Ullman shorts served as her workshop for developing the character. Animation quality was extremely rough by television standards. Klasky Chupo used limited animation techniques. Characters had few frames of movement. Backgrounds were simple. Color palettes were muted and unappealing. The animation budget was minimal. The shorts looked crude compared to other animation. The roughness was partly intentional aesthetic choice and partly budget constraint. The studio prioritized getting content produced over polish. Budget constraints were visible in every frame. Characters froze mid-scene. Mouths moved while bodies stayed still. Backgrounds repeated constantly. The animation reused sequences whenever possible. Walking cycles were identical across episodes. The limited resources forced creative solutions. The studio learned to convey humor through timing and voice acting rather than elaborate animation. The constraints actually enhanced the underground aesthetic. Color palette difference between shorts and series were dramatic. The shorts used muddy, unattractive colors. Homer's skin was more yellow-brown than yellow. Marge's dress was dull red. The backgrounds were dingy and depressing. Series Simpsons brightened the color scheme dramatically. The show used vibrant primary colors. The world looked more inviting. The color improvement reflected bigger budgets and conscious creative decisions. The series wanted to be more accessible than the underground-feeling shorts. Movement and character fluidity improved as shorts progressed. Early shorts had almost no character movement. Figures stood rigid while mouths moved. Later shorts incorporated more animation. Characters gestured and moved through space. The improvement reflected the studio learning efficiency. They developed reusable animation libraries. They created standard character poses. By 1989, the shorts looked significantly better than 1987 versions, but they never approached series quality. The 5 lost shorts remain incompletely documented. Information about them comes from fragmented sources. Production staff have mentioned them in interviews. Animation studio records reference them, but complete details are unavailable. The shorts were produced but not broadcast for various reasons. Some were deemed inappropriate, others were simply lost. The incomplete documentation makes verification difficult. What follows represents the best available information pieced together from multiple sources. Bart's Nightmare was a working title for a dark horror-themed short. The premise involved Bart having disturbing nightmares. The content was apparently too intense for the Tracey Ullman Show's audience. The short showed Bart's nightmares in graphic detail. Monsters attacked him. Family members transformed into creatures. The imagery was genuinely frightening rather than comical. Producers viewed the completed short and rejected it immediately. The horror content was inappropriate for a variety show watched by families. Why it was deemed too dark involved the specific nightmare imagery. Reports suggest the animation showed violent scenes. Bart witnessed family members dying. He encountered threatening figures that weren't comedic. The producers felt children watching might be traumatized. The nightmare content crossed lines established for the other shorts. The decision to not air it was unanimous. The short was filed as rejected material. Current status is unclear. The short might exist as completed animation, or it might have been destroyed. Storyboards definitely existed because the short was produced. Whether finished animation survives is unknown. Animation studios sometimes archived rejected material, but lost or damaged materials weren't uncommon. The short's fate depends on Klasky Csupo's archiving practices in the late 1980s. Those practices weren't systematic or comprehensive. Homer's drinking problem portrayed Homer's alcohol consumption explicitly. The short focused on Homer drinking heavily. He got drunk and behaved badly. The family dealt with consequences of his drinking. The short treated alcoholism as comedy. Modern viewers would recognize it as inappropriate. But even in the late 1980s, producers felt uncomfortable. The Tracey Ullman Show audience might include children. Portraying alcoholism as funny in a family cartoon seemed wrong. Plot summary involved Homer drinking throughout the day. He drank at work. He drank at home. He drank at bars. The short showed him increasingly intoxicated. His behavior deteriorated. He said inappropriate things. He fell down. The short ended without resolution. Homer's drinking was presented as ongoing. Problem: the lack of consequences or moral made producers uncomfortable. The short implied Homer was an alcoholic without addressing it seriously. Controversial elements extended beyond just showing drinking. The short apparently included Homer driving while intoxicated. He endangered the family. The imagery was disturbing despite comedic intent. Producers realized the short normalized dangerous behavior. Children might imitate or accept drunk driving as acceptable. The short violated standards for responsible content. It was immediately rejected. Why the Tracey Ullman Show rejected it involved protecting the show's reputation. The variety show needed to maintain family-friendly status. Advertisers required appropriate content. A short explicitly about alcoholism would generate complaints. Parent groups would protest. The network would face criticism. The short wasn't worth the controversy. It was easier to produce a different short than defend this one. The Simpson Family Circus showed early versions of Springfield's citizens. The short introduced neighbors and townspeople. Characters who would become Simpsons regulars appeared in prototype form. Ned Flanders appeared but wasn't yet named or developed. Moe appeared as a bartender without backstory. The short established Springfield as a community beyond the Simpson family. But the execution apparently didn't work. Early versions of characters were too different from eventual designs. Flanders looked nothing like series Flanders. His personality wasn't established. The short just showed him as a generic neighbor. Other characters were even less developed. They were background figures without personality. The short failed to make Springfield feel alive or interesting. Test audiences probably didn't respond positively. Characters who would become regulars appeared briefly. Moe served Homer drinks. Barney appeared as a patron. Chief Wiggum might have appeared as a cop. But none of these characters had names or distinctive traits. They were generic types filling roles. The short didn't create memorable characters. It just populated Springfield with bodies. The lack of characterization made the short forgettable. Why the short was cut likely involved it being unnecessary. The Simpsons shorts focused on family dynamics. Expanding to townspeople diluted that focus. The short wasn't funny enough to justify the digression. It attempted world building that wasn't needed yet. The series would eventually develop Springfield extensively, but the shorts didn't require it. The cut made sense structurally. Springfield's first appearance technically occurred across multiple shorts, but one specific short apparently focused on establishing the town. The short showed the Simpson house in context of a neighborhood. It depicted local businesses and landmarks. The short tried to create a sense of place, but animation budget couldn't support detailed backgrounds. The short looked cheap and empty. Producers felt it didn't achieve its goal. Content showed the family moving through Springfield. They walked downtown. They visited shops. They interacted with townspeople. The short attempted slice-of-life storytelling, but the format didn't suit it. 1-minute shorts couldn't develop locations effectively. The ambition exceeded the format's capabilities. The short felt incomplete and unsatisfying. Production status when abandoned suggests it was completed or nearly completed. The short was animated to some degree. Voice work was recorded, but it wasn't polished to broadcast quality. The producers decided not to invest finishing resources. The short was shelved incomplete. Whether anyone completed it later is unknown. Reason for non-airing involved the short not fitting the format. The other shorts had clear beginnings, middles, and ends. This short was just observation without narrative. It lacked the structure that made other shorts work. Audiences would have found it boring. The short failed as entertainment despite succeeding as world building. Producers chose shorts that functioned better within the variety show format. Lisa's Rebellion presented an early version where Lisa challenged authority. The short showed Lisa rejecting parental rules. She argued with Homer and Marge. She refused to obey. The conflict escalated beyond typical sibling dynamics. Lisa's rebellion was portrayed as genuinely problematic. The short made her seem unpleasant rather than smart or principled. The characterization didn't work. Early Lisa, characterization emphasized generic child defiance. She wasn't yet the intellectual with justified positions. She was just an angry kid. The short lacked the nuance that made series Lisa appealing. Her rebellion had no political or moral foundation. She was simply being difficult. The portrayal made her unsympathetic. Audiences wouldn't root for her. Content that seemed inappropriate involved Lisa disrespecting adults. She called parents names. She behaved aggressively. The short portrayed childhood rebellion without consequence or lessons. The producers felt uncomfortable presenting Lisa's behavior without context. Children watching might emulate her disrespect. The short normalized inappropriate behavior. It was rejected for setting bad examples. What happened to the footage is unknown. The short might have been destroyed. It might exist in archives. Klasky Shupo's records from the 1980s are incomplete. Material could have been lost accidentally, or it could be stored and forgotten. Without official statement from Fox or the animation studio, the short's fate remains speculative. The transition to series involved substantial creative evolution. The success of the shorts proved audience interest. Fox executives saw merchandising potential. Discussions about a half-hour series began in 1988. Matt Groening and James L. Brooks developed the series concept. They hired writers and producers. They dramatically increased animation budget. The series would look and sound professional compared to the shorts. The decision to make a full half-hour show came from multiple factors. The shorts generated fan mail and media attention. Fox needed original programming for its growing network. The Simpsons had demographic appeal networks wanted. The merchandising potential was obvious. Fox saw an opportunity to create a flagship animated series. The risk was justified by the shorts' proven success. What changed from shorts to series was substantial. Animation quality improved dramatically. Character designs were refined and standardized. Voice acting became more consistent. Writers were hired to create full scripts. Stories became more complex. The show developed continuity and recurring characters. The budget increased exponentially. The series was professional television production instead of experimental shorts. Characters introduced in series, but not shorts, included most of Springfield. Mr. Burns didn't appear in shorts. Smithers wasn't there. Principal Skinner didn't exist yet. Most townspeople were created for the series. The shorts focused entirely on the Simpson family. The series needed supporting characters and antagonists. The expanded format required a populated world. The writers created Springfield citizens from scratch. How shorts informed series direction was fundamental. The family dynamics established in shorts carried over completely. Homer's incompetence defined his character. Marge's patience was established. Bart's rebelliousness and Lisa's intelligence emerged. The shorts proved these dynamics worked. The series built on this foundation. Every Simpsons episode since has relied on relationships developed during the Tracy Ullman shorts. Legal battles over ownership intensified as the series succeeded. Matt Groening argued he created the characters. Fox claimed ownership through work-for-hire contracts. The dispute involved merchandising revenue primarily. Simpsons merchandise generated hundreds of millions. Groening wanted fair compensation. Fox wanted to maximize its profits. The legal fight lasted years. Eventually, settlements were reached, but the ownership questions created lasting bitterness. Current availability of the 48 aired shorts varies by format. DVD releases of early Simpsons seasons included some shorts as bonus features. The complete first season DVD contained selected shorts. Later season sets dropped them entirely. Streaming services generally don't include the shorts. Paramount Plus doesn't offer them. The shorts exist in legal limbo separate from the series. Rights issues might complicate their distribution. Lost Shorts' status remains unclear decades later. No official statements confirm they exist. Fox hasn't acknowledged them publicly. Animation studio representatives haven't discussed them. The shorts might be lost permanently, or they might sit in archives forgotten. Without corporate interest in finding and releasing them, they'll likely remain inaccessible. Production materials at animation studios might contain fragments. Klasky Supo's archives could include storyboards, animation tests, or rough cuts. The studio has never opened its archives publicly. Material from the 1980s might be poorly cataloged. Finding specific shorts would require extensive searching. The studio has no financial incentive to invest that effort. Matt Groening's comments about lost material have been minimal. He's mentioned that some shorts never aired. He hasn't provided detailed information. He might not remember specifics from over 30 years ago, or he might be protecting material he doesn't want public. Groening has focused on the series rather than the shorts in interviews. The shorts are ancient history to him now. The Tracy Ullman show Simpsons shorts represent the foundation of the longest-running American sitcom. The 48 aired shorts established characters and relationships that would define the series, but the 5 lost shorts remain mysterious. Unlike deleted scenes from produced episodes, these were abandoned at various stages of production. Some may exist only as scripts, others reached animation but were rejected. The transition from variety show segments to standalone series required fundamental changes in animation quality, voice acting, and storytelling. The rough, experimental nature of the shorts gave way to the polished series. Most aired shorts are available on DVD, carefully preserved as historical artifacts. The lost shorts, however, remain scattered across production materials, animation tests, and possibly forgotten storage rooms at Klasky Supo or Fox. They represent the earliest Simpsons content that audiences never saw. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying this breakdown. Moving on to the censored international edits. The Simpsons International Censorship, where entire episodes are rewritten for different countries. The Simpsons broadcasts in over 100 countries worldwide, but viewers in China, Middle Eastern nations, India, and other markets see dramatically different versions. Entire episodes are banned. Scenes featuring religious content, political satire, or cultural references are removed entirely. Some countries edit out character moments that conflict with local values. China removed a scene where Homer mentions the Tiananmen Square massacre. Middle Eastern broadcasts cut all alcohol references, fundamentally changing Homer's character. India edited scenes showing cows as anything other than sacred. The result is a fragmented, inconsistent version of The Simpsons that bears little resemblance to the American broadcast. The scale of global distribution reaches unprecedented numbers. The Simpsons airs in over 100 countries. The show has been translated into dozens of languages. Each market has unique cultural sensitivities. Broadcast standards vary dramatically by region. What's acceptable in America might be illegal elsewhere. The show's international success requires navigating countless censorship regimes. Each country applies its own standards to every episode. The result is hundreds of different versions of the same show. Different censorship standards by region create incomparable viewing experiences. European countries generally allow more content than Middle Eastern nations. Asian markets each have specific restrictions. Latin American censorship focuses on different issues than Asian censorship. African broadcast standards vary by country. No universal standard exists. The show must be customized for each major market. The customization ranges from minor edits to complete episode removal. How edits are implemented varies by country and broadcaster. Some countries remove scenes during initial dubbing. Others edit after receiving American masters. Government censors review content before broadcast. Network standards departments make additional cuts. The editing process happens at multiple stages. Digital editing allows precise removal of problematic content, but the edits are often clumsy. Scenes cut abruptly. Dialogue references removed content. The edited versions feel incomplete and confusing. Who makes censorship decisions involves government and corporate entities. Government censorship boards review content officially. Broadcasting companies make additional commercial decisions. Advertisers pressure networks to avoid controversy. Religious organizations lobby for content removal. Multiple stakeholders influence what gets cut. The decision-making process is opaque. Networks rarely explain specific cuts publicly. The censorship happens quietly without acknowledgement. Impact on narrative coherence becomes severe with extensive edits. Episodes that rely on alcohol-related plots make no sense without alcohol references. Political satire loses meaning when politics are removed. Character development disappears when key scenes are cut. Running gags become incomprehensible. The show's serialized elements break completely. Episodes reference events that never occurred in censored versions. Characters behave inconsistently because motivating scenes were removed. China implements the most extensive political censorship. The government bans any content critical of the Communist Party. References to Chinese history are scrutinized. The Tiananmen Square massacre cannot be mentioned. Criticism of government policy is forbidden. Portrayal of government incompetence is removed. The censorship protects the party's image. Chinese Simpsons viewers miss dozens of episodes and hundreds of scenes containing political content. The Tiananmen Square reference removal became internationally publicized. Season 12's Goo Goo Gai Pan showed the Simpson family visiting China. Homer looked at Tiananmen Square. He said it was the site of the famous 1989 massacre. Chinese censors removed the entire sequence. The edit was clumsy and obvious. The scene cut abruptly to different content. Chinese viewers noticed the censorship. The incident became a news story internationally. Government criticism edits extend throughout the series. Any episode featuring corrupt politicians or incompetent government gets heavily edited. The show's satirical take on democracy is removed. Episodes about elections are cut. References to American foreign policy disappear. Scenes showing Chinese stereotypes or cultural criticism are deleted. The Chinese government protects both itself and Chinese culture from mockery. The edits make hundreds of episodes partially incomprehensible. The Winnie the Pooh character sensitivity stems from President Xi Jinping comparisons. Internet memes compared Xi to Winnie the Pooh. The Chinese government banned Pooh imagery as a result. Simpsons episodes featuring Pooh characters or references face additional scrutiny. The absurd censorship reflects the government's paranoia about mockery. Any content that could be interpreted as criticizing Xi is removed preemptively. Other political content cuts include references to Hong Kong, Tibet, and Taiwan. The show cannot acknowledge Taiwan as separate from China. Hong Kong's political situation cannot be discussed. Tibet's independence movement cannot be mentioned. These topics are completely forbidden. Episodes touching on them are banned entirely. The geographic scope of forbidden topics is extensive. China's censorship effectively rewrites history and current events. Full episode bans in China number over 50. Episodes dealing explicitly with politics, religion, or Chinese culture are completely unavailable. The banned episodes leave gaps in the series. Chinese viewers watch an incomplete show. They miss major character developments and running storylines. The banned content represents some of the show's best and most acclaimed episodes. Chinese audiences get a sanitized, diminished version. Middle Eastern broadcasts face unique censorship requirements. Islamic cultural values shape content restrictions. Religious content is scrutinized intensely. Alcohol consumption cannot be shown positively. Sexual content is forbidden. Clothing must be modest. The restrictions fundamentally change characters and plots. Homer especially becomes unrecognizable without his drinking. Alcohol references removal impacts Homer fundamentally. Homer's character is defined partly by drinking. Moe's Tavern is a central location. Countless plots involve Homer drinking excessively. Middle Eastern broadcasts edit every alcohol reference. Homer drinks juice or soda instead of beer. Moe's Tavern becomes a cafe. Duff beer doesn't exist. Homer's behavior makes less sense without alcohol explanation. His stupidity seems unmotivated. The character becomes incomprehensible. Religious content faces complete removal. The show satirizes all religions. Christianity, Judaism, Islam, and others are mocked. Middle Eastern censors remove any religious content. References to God or prayer disappear. Episodes dealing with faith are banned. The censorship protects Islam specifically, but removes other religions too. The edits eliminate a major aspect of the show's satirical edge. Clothing and modesty edits digitally alter character designs. Female characters must dress more conservatively. Marge's sleeveless dress is edited. Lisa's shorts are lengthened. Background characters are digitally clothed. The edits are often noticeable and awkward. Characters' clothing changes between scenes. The inconsistency creates visual confusion, but the edits satisfy censorship requirements. Relationship content changes to meet Islamic standards. Unmarried couples cannot live together. Gay characters are removed entirely. Sexual references are deleted completely. Kissing scenes are cut. The edits make relationship storylines nonsensical. Characters suddenly avoid each other without explanation. The show's treatment of modern relationships disappears entirely. How many episodes remain unwatchable after edits is difficult to calculate. Estimates suggest over 100 episodes require substantial editing. Dozens more are banned entirely. Middle Eastern viewers see perhaps 60 to 70% of Simpsons content. The remaining episodes are heavily edited. The viewing experience barely resembles American broadcasts. The show loses most of its edge and satirical bite. India's cow-related content edits reflect Hindu religious sensitivity. Cows are sacred in Hinduism. Any negative portrayal is offensive. The Simpsons features numerous cow jokes. Episodes show cows being eaten. Cows are mocked or mistreated. Indian censors remove all such content. The edits are extensive and disruptive. Entire plotlines involving cows are deleted. Religious sensitivity covers Hindu and Muslim content. India has significant Hindu and Muslim populations. Content offensive to either religion faces censorship. The show's satire of religion is heavily edited. Episodes dealing with religious conflict are banned. The censorship protects both major religions equally. The cuts eliminate the show's willingness to mock sacred institutions. The Apu character controversy led to additional edits. Apu, Nahasapima Petalon, represents Indian immigrants. Critics argued he was a racist stereotype. The controversy became international news. Indian broadcasts edited Apu's character. His accent was changed, his personality was softened. Some markets removed him entirely. The edits attempted to address stereotype concerns, but they made the character inconsistent and confusing. Cultural reference changes involved numerous small edits. References to Indian culture or politics are scrutinized. Anything potentially offensive is removed. The censorship is cautious and extensive. Editors remove content preemptively to avoid controversy. The cumulative effect significantly alters the show. India receives a sanitized version that avoids any cultural discomfort. Other countries implement unique restrictions. Japan handles the Mr. Sparkle episode carefully. The episode parodies Japanese culture and products. Japanese broadcasts edit culturally sensitive moments. The episode aired but with modifications. The Japanese broadcast was more tolerant than some other markets. Venezuela's political censorship targets specific content. Episodes criticizing socialism or left-wing politics face editing. Venezuela's government protects its ideology. Political content is censored to avoid negative portrayals. The censorship mirrors Chinese practices but focuses on different political issues. Russia's editing of LGBTQ content follows recent laws. Russian law forbids positive portrayal of homosexuality. Gay characters are removed from broadcasts. Episodes dealing with LGBTQ themes are banned. The censorship reflects government policy criminalizing gay rights. The edits eliminate major characters and storylines. UK's relatively minor edits demonstrate Western tolerance. The United Kingdom broadcasts The Simpsons with minimal censorship. Occasional edits address timing or specific offensive language, but the show largely airs intact. The UK represents the least censored major market. British viewers see content similar to American broadcasts. Episodes banned completely in multiple countries number over 20. These episodes are universally controversial. They deal with politics, religion, or extreme content. No major market airs them without heavy editing. Most markets ban them entirely. The banned episodes include some of the show's most famous. Viewers in censored countries miss significant Simpsons moments. Why these episodes pose problems involves multiple offensive elements. They combine political criticism, religious satire, and cultural mockery. The episodes offend across multiple sensitivity categories. Editing them would require removing too much content. It's easier to ban them entirely. The episodes represent The Simpsons at its most subversive and controversial. Alternative episodes shown instead fill broadcast gaps. Networks sometimes substitute different episodes. The substitutions maintain broadcast schedules, but they create continuity problems. Episodes reference banned content. Characters discuss events that never occurred in censored markets. The substitutions don't solve the coherence problem. Gap in series continuity for international viewers becomes substantial. Major character developments occur in banned episodes. Running storylines are interrupted. The show's serialized elements break completely. International viewers watch a fragmented version. They miss key moments and important episodes. Their understanding of characters and relationships is incomplete. Official broadcast status by country varies constantly. Censorship laws change. Different networks edit differently. The situation is fluid and inconsistent. Comprehensive tracking is impossible. Each country's broadcast situation requires individual research. General patterns exist, but exceptions are numerous. Bootleg and VPN viewing workarounds are common. Viewers in censored countries seek uncensored versions. VPN services allow accessing American content. Bootleg copies circulate through file sharing. The black market for uncensored Simpsons is substantial. Many international viewers watch illegal copies rather than edited broadcasts. The censorship creates demand for piracy. Disney Plus international variations mirror broadcast restrictions. The streaming service customizes content by region. Censored countries receive edited versions. The same episodes unavailable on television are unavailable on Disney Plus. The streaming service follows local laws and customs. it doesn't provide workaround access to banned content. Disney Plus perpetuates rather than solves censorship issues. Fan communities comparing versions document censorship extensively. Online forums catalog edits and bans. Fans create comparison videos. They share information about what different countries see. The documentation reveals censorship's extent. The fan-created information is more comprehensive than official data. The communities preserve knowledge of editing practices. The Simpsons international censorship creates fundamentally different shows across the world. American viewers watch Homer Simpson as an alcoholic father whose drinking drives numerous plots. Viewers in Middle Eastern countries see a Homer who simply doesn't drink, creating plot holes and character inconsistencies. Chinese audiences miss entire episodes about government criticism. Indian viewers never see jokes about cows. The result is a fractured global experience where The Simpsons is dozens of different shows depending on location. Unlike deleted American content stored in archives, internationally censored material simply doesn't exist in those markets. The scenes are cut permanently for those broadcasts. Fans use VPNs and bootlegs to watch uncensored versions, creating a black market for complete episodes. The Simpsons' global reach means it must navigate countless censorship standards, and in many cases, the show simply loses. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.